You log off your 9 to 5, then you get a 5 to 9. Trying to get one item, nigga.
One legendary.
And then it's like, oh, this got the wrong prefix, or this got the wrong perk. So
RNG, how it's used nowadays, is just a slap in the face. Because it's not randomized. It's not truly randomized. They have them categorized, and then the RNG works based off those categories. But this isn't really random generation. Shit is hard to get. They make it so absurd. Anyway.
Let me write this down because RNG is one of those topics we have to discuss. With things like loot boxes and how developers needlessly add items to the loot pool to make it even harder to get the items that you want. I put in Apex.
Alright, we switch it over. Nigga say I put in Apex. Okay. But welcome back, folks, to another variety night with Boy Entertainment. And if it wasn't made clear by now, variety night tends to be a variety of things. Sometimes we play games, yes, but other times we have game shows, have you seen before? And then other times we just do podcast style stuff like this, where we just sit down and talk about pressing game news, pressing manga, anime shit. And today, if you haven't seen the topic, the title of the vid, let's talk about Baldur's Gate 3. Scoot and I, who are, I feel, avid long-term gamers who are passionate about the industry and its development, we wanted to talk about Baldur's Gate 3, a game by a studio that is literally just sticking a middle finger at the entire industry and saying, nah, we just can make a good game and give it to niggas.
Oi?
That's it. But I see boy L, I got with me Scoot the Loot.
Yeah.
And the remainder of this seafood boil that I will be munching as we go along. Scoot is actually gonna be spearheading this episode today. He brought this to my attention. This is something that we frequently talk about. Anything game industry related, we talk about. But this one specifically, it caught my attention, but it caught his attention, and he mentioned doing a reaction video to some of these some YouTube videos and some discussions that are being had surrounding Baldur's Gate and Larian as a developer. So Scoot, take it off from here. Just let me know when to switch over. I got all 3 videos booted and ready to go.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a few pointers before we get started. So first of all, we can show a couple of YouTube videos. This is not a mock. If we say something that does not agree with these guys, that does not mean that you need to be harassing these people.
Yeah, please don't.
So this is just commentary, right? Feel free to share your opinions, jump in, say what you need to say. But these creators who created these videos, or when you talk to the developers who created these games, right? Don't do anything you regret, right? We here to discuss the content of the video itself and not the characters or people, right? That being said, let's have fun. Another thing too, yes, we're Bay Entertainment. Yes, we produce content, but still, secondary, we are gamers, just like you guys. And I think it's important for Bay Entertainment to be on, maybe not the bleeding edge, but at least to be aware of what's going on in the industry. I think that's part of our responsibility as content producers, especially as game streamers, because we have to know what we're getting ourselves into. If we would recommend something to you guys, like, we need to be able to do this in good conscience, and not just give you some shit, right? So that's what tonight is. That's what tonight represents. It will get a little bit heated. I might get a little loud. Please just bear with me. Just say, Scoot, calm down. Bring it down.
And just know, if you ever see a Raid Shadow Legends sponsorship on this channel, they gave us way too much money to say no.
Yeah.
I
So,
can let the audience know that from now. If you ever see a Raid Shadow Legends endorsement, they gave us too much money to say no.
but without
Cheers.
further ado, we just here to have fun. So let's get started. I won't hold it up for any longer. Let's show them the video that caught my attention this morning. Um, I just want them to feel how I feel.
Yeah. Oi. Come over here.
So I got some leftover spaghetti myself. It don't look too appetizing because it's leftovers, but
Mm.
it's something, right? You know, beggars can't be choosers. Well, let me watch this.
All right.
Oh, another thing too. You might see IGN. We don't really give a shit about IGN, but
We don't
this
care about
particular
IGN, but
video,
it's what they
this
talk
particular
about.
video,
It's what they
I
talk about.
actually agree with. We don't.
This
I don't.
is
This one.
gaming journalism here.
This one. This one.
This is gaming
Anyway,
journalism.
I can just leave that right there. Let's begin.
All right, let me maximize this. And let me test. I can run a quick volume test. Let me know how it is on your side if I got to turn it up or down.
Baldur's Gate 3 is taking the internet by
We good.
storm. At its
We
peak,
good.
a whopping 800,000 plus concurrent players.
814,000. I'm sorry. I'm not going to be pausing the videos too much as we go through. But that is a stupidly large number, boy. All-time peak are 804. That's almost a million concurrent players.
Wait, and you know, let's sit down. I'm glad that you paused it, because what is this? What is Baldur's Gate? Anyway, because people don't probably have a good perspective of what Baldur's Gate is. It's an RPG inspired by Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons. When you think of Dungeons and Dragons, you think of that little tiny nerd in his closet with a couple of groups. And you see this number? This ain't just those little tiny
That ain't
nerds.
just nerds. That
That
ain't
ain't
just
them nerds. That ain't just them nerds. This is the market telling us exactly what they want. This is a market response saying, hey, look at this. There's something good going on here. Hey, let's
In
proceed.
capitalism, money talk. Get this back. Yeah.
We're playing this weekend, catapulting it to the number 8 most played of all time spot. The gaming community has sung its praises, and it's incredibly refreshing to play a feature-complete game of this caliber on day one. But AAA game developers want you to know that this is rockstar level nonsense for scope, that it's foolhardy to set expectations higher, and Baldur's Gate 3 should not be used as a raised standard to RPGs going forward. Why was the first response to defend the current state of AAA gaming as opposed to saying, hey, maybe we can learn a thing or two from Baldur's Gate 3 and make our game better for our customers?
Maybe we could see what almost a million niggas like and give them what they fucking like. It's revolutionary.
It's so simple. It's so simple. And I've
why
said
so
this.
much resistance? That it tells you more about the current status quo as opposed to where Larian is taking their idea of where the industry should be heading.
Right. And I also want you to keep in mind that, see, the benefit of Larian Studio is that they don't have any third-party figureheads marketing team trying to control their decisions. Right? They ain't EA. Right? They ain't they ain't Activision trying to control Bungie, be like, hey, I need you to be doing yada yada yada. No. Larian Studios want to create a good game, and you see what you get?
A good fucking
Give
game.
the players a good game, and the money will come. It always comes. When you create a good game, it always... I understand. Creating a good game is hard. It's difficult. And that's okay. Some can fall by the wayside. But your focus and your priority, especially with these AAA... Any matter if you indie, It's just one person, one man team, or use 5,000 man team. Your priority is creating a good game first.
That's it.
And you don't need half a billion to make a good game. You don't. Look at Hollow Knight. Look at Stardew Valley. Those games don't
Stardew
have
Valley
half
was one nigga.
one man. Oi, I get this in October. I can let you guys know that now.
Oh yeah, y'all. But at least half of Boy Entertainment will have Baldur's Gate 3 before this year finish. 100%. I'm getting it. 100%. Let's get back to it.
Off way back on July 8th, a lifetime ago by internet standards, I know, when a writer and BAFTA nominee, Xavier Nelson, took to Twitter to express concerns about Baldur's Gate 3, namely that fans would use Baldur's Gate 3 to apply criticism or a raised standard to RPGs going forward. My rebuttal is, why shouldn't customers have raised standards? Taking it a step further, why shouldn't some AAA developers raise their own standards? Are we really going to pretend that consumers shouldn't be a little upset right now and hoping for an improvement in the industry going forward? Rockstar just announced a $50 remake, conversion of the original Red Dead Redemption for the PlayStation 4 and Switch that has no mention of a 4K update, no mention of 60 FPS, and no mention of multiplayer support. The game came out 13 years ago and the Xbox port does...
Pause. You see the shit? You see the shit? This is the shit right here. Rockstar Studio. How long? How much money did Rockstar Studio make from GTA alone? I can't hear you, Leroy. You talking, but I can't hear you.
From GTA 5 alone. We ain't even got to count all the previous ones. GTA 5 alone has
Too much
set
money.
Rockstar on a path to be one of the most profitable game development companies.
So you're telling me all the money? I think at one they're making $1 billion a year for GTA alone. For GTA alone, $1 billion a year. All that money, and they come with a remake. It's a good game, but like this is the bullshit that we was talking about. But he mentioned another point. It's like, consumers. And I don't even like that word, but players should not have a raised standard. Like,
what do you mean?
Why not?
What do you mean we shouldn't have a raise? We should always be looking to increase or improve on what we currently have. Why would we not want to set a new bar? We're literally in a new generation cycle. We're in the midst of the beginning, because you can't even really count year one of the PS5 and Xbox Series, whatever. You can't even really count the first year, because one, they barely had exclusives. Two, niggas barely had the consoles. So we're still in the early cycles of this new gen, but we're seeing games that look like they still in the fucking PS4 era.
Oh, and this game looks like a cash grab.
Games locked at 30 FPS. We're seeing games that lack core functionality that they themselves promise. We didn't ask them to put the shit in. They literally make the promises and then break them.
Maybe 2-3 years ago, all we were seeing is reboots and remakes.
Oh my god.
And these are good IPs, but they're milking these IPs. I'm looking at
Assassin's Creed.
Yep, that Final Fantasy 7. Good game. I ain't saying it's not a good game, but really,
the world didn't need that again. We didn't. We would have been just fine with the original 7, and I don't think anyone would have complained.
So, and Rockstar in particular, this is greedy. This is beyond greedy. At one point they're making $1 billion a year. $1 billion a year, and this. With all that money, all that resource, all that talent, and they ain't dumb. This is what they give us.
Old firm Scoop, I might need you to take over.
Yeah. So I'm glad that Baldur's Gate 3 got a lot of these developers scared. I am glad that Baldur's Gate 3 has raised the standards so the players now expect more, because I feel like for a long time we as players has been expecting the bare minimum, maybe even less than the minimum. I've been For me personally, I feel like we haven't even had games. What we've been getting is very colorful looking markets, very colorful shops, elaborate season passes. Like the game aspect has taken a back seat, and I am so glad, and I wish I could play this video. Anyway, the game has taken a back seat, and I am so glad the Larian Studio has said no. The game comes first. The game comes first. So good, so good.
My bad, I had a
This is
call coming just now.
yeah, that's okay. This is what the industry needed. Not Red Dead, Baldur's Gate 3.
Alright, let's push on a little more. Because we got 3 of these lined up.
Everything they're offering, and then some for free with your 360 copy. Go buy a brand new copy of the Game of the Year edition on Amazon right now for $30 and you're good to go. Star Wars Jedi Survivor, when released on PC, had furious fans citing numerous problems getting the game to run, frequent crashes, and similar problems on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox. EA apologized and is still working to fix the issues. Destiny 2 just released a State of the Game blog saying, amongst other things, that they don't have the resources to release new ritual armor every season. But that same studio manages to create new armor sets in the shop for up to $20 a pop without fail every season. Diablo 4 unabashedly has several character skins priced at $20 each, and just
$20 for a fucking skin, boy?
Yep.
$20 for a single skin?
Wait, that's the price of an indie game.
But $20 is the price of newly released fucking AAA DLC. Like the whole DLC. Wait, the Skyrim DLC was what when they first come out? Around $20, right? Like 15?
Right. $15, $20, somewhere around there.
I'm paying that for a single skin? No way.
Another thing you got to keep in mind too is that a lot of these games, Diablo 4 in particular, is always online. Let me break that down for guys who don't understand. Let me get a little closer to the mic. When they shut down those servers, you don't have access to those items no more.
Ever again.
That $20 skin that you bragging about.
Poof. Poof.
Once the server's gone, once Blizzard has felt like they've milked the game as much as they can,
Sunset.
that server's gone. That's it. What have you accomplished?
You're gonna see an announcement from the studio. They're gonna use the word sunsetting. And your $20 and your $20 will disappear. I hope you get some screenshots so you could keep your JPEGs for the memories, because that shit is gone forever.
Gone.
Forever. Your best bet would be some super hardcore, really highly dedicated game archival company. But even then, it's not gonna be the exact shit that you had. More than likely, you have to get it again through some separate means. Anyway,
Right.
your $20 gone. When they decide they're no longer gonna support the game, your $20 is gone. So
And we're looking at you, Fortnite players.
I don't even want to think about the amount of money they squeeze from the average Fortnite player. I don't want to think about it. Average? In fact, I wonder if I feel like that's a statistic that should be easy to find.
Let's see.
I go play the video some more. I can let that play through while I look this up.
released their first season that had a patch that was so poorly thought out that the developers had to have an emergency live stream to apologize, and have since begun working to revert those changes.
We don't plan on doing a patch like this ever again.
Okay, you need a more comparable RPG example of why fans are heralding Baldur's Gate 3 as a breath of fresh air? Look no further than Mass Effect Andromeda, which was widely
The average Fortnite player who has spent money on the game has spent approximately $84.67.
The whole new game.
That's the deluxe edition of a whole new game. That's the deluxe. On just skins and emotes.
Yeah,
Nothing
at
that
least-
changes the core gameplay. Nothing that gives you any strategic advantage. It just looked cool.
At least Fortnite gave them a Travis Scott concert.
And mind you, the reason I don't knock Fortnite as much is because they actually innovate. Even though I'm not a fan of their practices, I do acknowledge that the things that they have pulled off with their IPs, namely Fortnite, Epic is innovating in the industry. Epic had the first like in-game massive like MMO concert basically.
That's fair. I think they are sort of pushing the battle royale genre and what it means to have a battle royale experience. I think I can give them that, but at the same time, they also had a single player game that they completely abandoned.
Oh yeah, they ditched that shit. Most people don't even remember Fortnite have a single player aspect.
Yes, it has a single player standalone campaign. It's a completely separate product. Like you can't find it when you download Fortnite Battle Royale, but it exists. Or at least, hopefully it still exists. I'm pretty sure it still exists. But
Wait.
let's continue.
Wait.
Oh, before we go, Andromeda. Oh,
Oh yeah, you want to
How-
talk about Mass Effect?
boy, I am a big fan of Mass Effect. I absolutely, and the thing is, I came to Mass Effect late.
Mm-hmm.
When I say late, I came in Mass Effect.
Drop it.
But after yeah, pretty much when 3 dropped. Because I remember seeing advertisements. I was playing a demo for 3, and I said, man, this is pretty nice. And it's probably been a couple of months after the fact that I even went back to Mass Effect 1 and 2. And I was like, BioWare, you could do this? Nani? I said, but this... And so when I heard about Andromeda, I said, but thank you. I've been looking forward to Mass Effect for so long. Plus, and the fact that, I don't know if you guys remember Mass Effect 3's ending. The ending was so bad, they had to add in DLC to rewrite the ending. I've never heard that.
The multicolor ending.
Right, they had to add a whole to explain, because the ending was so bad. And then they come with Andromeda, and the controversy that this game had when it released, I mean, even through its development, with the facial animations, the glitches, the bugs, the lacking in story writing, like, this should have been so much better. This should have been so much more. This is a missed potential, Rachel. Rachel, missed potential. I that's all I gotta say for this.
widely panned.
Sorry, my face is tired from dealing with everything.
Yeah, look at that
Or
face.
Cyberpunk 2077
Oh,
that made
God.
promises about last-gen game consoles that it couldn't keep. It took CDPR almost a year to get that all sorted out.
Look at this.
I'll make this as clear as possible.
Wait, did you
to
see
contextualize
that?
how
Did you
Yeah.
see that
Yeah.
render?
You could count the polygons. That's how bad it is. You could count it.
Oh my god. Boy, that looked like fucking PS2 rendering. Oh my god. Oh.
how fans are feeling. It feels like money has become more important than the core experience for
Yep.
fans. That's
Yep.
why Elden Ring, Baldur's Gate 3,
Mhm.
and even The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom are being widely celebrated. So what is up with the excuses? A game came along that is amazing, is selling well, is being praised by developers and fans alike, and the response is, well, we can't do that. Well, sweet. If that doesn't get me hyped for Mass Effect 4, I don't know what will. Xavier's tweet was well-intentioned, and he went on to add a lot of important...
Look at this nigga. You can't... Hold on. I actually want to read through some of this. So he says, you can't separate a game from the process used to build it. So let's look at what Larian is taking into the development and final version of this game. 1. Dev cycle stretching back to 2017. I feel like it's more complex than an extended dev cycle, because I feel like there were complications in the development of Baldur's Gate 3, and there were things that pushed back the date. So it isn't to say that this is the amount of time it would take to make one of these games from every studio, which I think is the implication here when he says that as his primary point out the gate. But I even still, we're talking about AAA developers that have multiples of the resources that Larian has. How many? Larian has a team of like a few hundred developers, right?
I think it was like 400. Yeah, 400, I believe.
It's just a few. Wait, here it is. He even mentions it. Over 400
over
developers in 7 different offices around the world, including outsourcing partners.
So
Bro,
I watched the
Ubisoft
GDC.
has departments. Ubisoft has literal headquarters. Ubisoft has multiple headquarters, play, working on specific different projects. Like what? 400 developers? Sure. But look at what they did.
This one point I want to pull out in the second tweet. 2 massive games and their definitive editions worth of tech and institutional knowledge to draw from. So stick to what you know. That's why is that so hard?
They literally said, "Hey, this wheel works. Maybe
Don't
we should
jump on trends.
It's that
simple. Not every fucking game needs a battle pass. Not every developer needs to make a battle royale.
Not even just jumping on trends, but making the trend the core fucking mechanic or the core focus of the entire game.
Right.
Because a trend isn't bad as an addition. A trend could be cool and it could bolster your sales numbers if that's what you want to focus on. But don't make it the core. Let's look at the Suicide Squad game that's coming out. Suicide Squad kills the Justice League. There was so much hype for that as we came to it. Ooh, fuck Suicide Squad. Let's talk about the one that's already out. Well, I ain't sure if Suicide Squad out, but that's dead in the water once they released the first gameplay footage of that. And niggas saw that it was just a glorified fucking live service game. Let's talk about Gotham Knights, the game that I was patiently waiting years for. The game that I was so hyped when I heard that Rocksteady had some involvement. The people that made the original, the Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Arkham Knight. The genre-defining games that paved the way for Marvel's Spider-Man and some of these open-world superhero games done properly with an engaging combat system, with nice, not superfluous, not extravagant, way out of the way extras and collectibles all over. There are collectibles, but it's on a decently sized map, and those collectibles are engaging because now you have Riddler puzzles. So now you have things to actively engage in with different puzzles and different problems to solve to get these collectibles, instead of fly to the Northwest region, pull up your guide so it could guide you. Okay, so from here, you want to look up to your top right. There should be a ledge there. Zip up to that, twist the camera 90 degrees, and if you look straight down, you can see the angle you need to get. No. It's engaging.
And I'm glad that you brought up that example, because they are a perfect example of chasing the trends. They decided to put in RPG and loot-like mechanics in their game.
Mm-hmm.
They decided to put levels in their games instead of sticking to the core of what made the Batman Arkham Asylum what it is, or that trilogy. Right, it's three of them, right?
Yeah.
Right,
Well,
that
technically
series.
4,
What
but we don't really talk about Origins. Because that
what
was a
made that
different
series
studio
what
too,
it
so we
was?
just don't talk about that.
Batman was more like an immersive sim,
Bingo.
like a hero
You
immersive
actually
simulator.
felt like Batman. You felt like a detective. You felt like this
Uh,
unstoppable force.
It wasn't no RPG looter. That's not what it is.
That's what Gotham Knights ended up being.
Gotham Knight. The reason why they incorporated that shit, for those who don't know, who can't pick up on the sauce, is because they do this because they can incentivize you to grind more, to spend more time in their ecosystem, so then they can extract more money from you. That's why they put that grindy shit in it. That's why they put those loot mechanics in it. Right? That's why you had certain level systems. Oh, if these people are too strong, you need to go do these particular set of events, then come back. Right?
Or if
It's
you're
the
skilled enough, you could whittle his health away over the next hour until he eventually falls.
right. But it's there to milk the time. Looter shooters or loot and RPG mechanics were not designed when they first came out, was not designed to be this way. It has been perverted and corrupted in Gotham Knights for a cash grab to try to milk more time. And that's one thing I noticed about a lot of these other games, these newer games too, is that they're trying to find clever ways to milk as much time out of you as possible.
Yup.
It's so, whether it's like slowing down the amount of EXP that you get, whether that's slowing down how fast you can travel, whether that's slowing down, that's even like throttling load times, increasing the load times a little bit, whether that means putting things not necessarily on timers, or you're in some exhausted state, something you gotta replenish, right? Whether it be that things break for no reason, so you have to spend your time micromanaging, whether that be dealing with inventory being too fucking small, and they fill up your inventory with all kind of garbage. I'm looking at you, Diablo 4. And this thing, let me take a step back. I it's almost admirable the way they can pervert these things in such a way to warp these original mechanics in a way to be used this way. Like it's almost admirable. Like how did you get to this point?
It's impressive.
How?
It's impressive.
Yeah, admirable is not the right word, but it's like, whoa, really? Out of the many ways, the infinite possibilities that you could do with RPG as a mechanic, with loot as a mechanic, and you come up with this? Wow. Wow. Yeah, let's move. Let's see what else you get on this tweet.
Who does that?
3 super successful early access period lasting 3 years. So I used to be against early access because it used to mean that players were testing your game for free. And it's like,
Yeah.
if you want people to test your games,
Pay 'em.
hire testers
Pay 'em.
and pay them well. But now I do see that is good, because it's one thing to develop a game, right? And it's hard for a developer to know what how a game really plays from a player's perspective, right? It's one thing that the developer understand, hey, this is what my intent is, this is what I want to do, this is what I've executed on. But it's another thing to say from a player's perspective is, what does this game feels like? Is it too difficult? Right?
Mhm.
Do I feel like the quest is not giving me enough information, or enough enough information to get the things I need to do? Right? Player feel, is this game executing okay? It wants to be a platformer. Does this feel like a platformer? When I do that jump, does that feel good? Does the movement feel good? Right? Do I feel like I glitching in a some sort of 1998 Sega system, or do I feel like Mario? Right? so so as long as early access is done well and not exploitative, I
Mhm.
I can get behind it. I'm fine with it, and it will help developers improve their games um to a better extent. I leave that right there. Over 400 developers in 7 different offices around the world. I mean, and of course that comes with a bunch of. I don't know game design, but of course that has to come with issues. 400 developers. How you communicate with that many developers? That has to be a logistical nightmare. That has to be. Like you saying this like as if this is supposed to make it easier for them. It doesn't.
Not at
Imagine you
all.
got one office in one time zone and you got another office in a different time zone. How do you set up the work pipeline in a way so that each office gets exactly what they need when they need it as
Right.
issues arise? Like that's not as much of a benefit as you making it out to be.
Yeah.
That's actually a nightmare in a lot of ways.
Yep. Let's see. 5. The licensed brand and world of one of the largest entertainment IPs in the world, D&D, at the apex of its popularity with the rise of the actual play movement and a movie. I don't think the D&D movie or I disagree with this. I disagree with this. One of the largest entertainment IPs in the world at the apex of its popularity. Why is D&D at the apex of its popularity now? I don't think the movie had such a sway on the masses that pre-existing D&D players or pre-existing D&D lovers were like I don't think the movie brought in any new D&D players. I don't think the movie had enough of a cultural sway to now I'm not saying it didn't bring in new people. Of course it would have, or it's possible that a few people saw the movie and was like, oh well, let me check out the game or let me see what D&D is actually about. I'm sure, but I know that that's the minority.
Right.
Because if it was such a significant cultural shift, there would have been significantly more discourse on it. Bro, I forgot there was a D&D movie.
No, but the D&D movie was actually pretty popular. I watched it. I was surprised. Like, wait, this
How
wasn't.
long was it popular?
It didn't last that long, but
Was
like
it
I
more
was
than a
surprised,
month after it came out?
bro. It didn't last that long for me.
With the typical attention span of the average consumer, if you ain't going longer than a month, garbage. Think about it. The only movies that really stand the test of time, and I'm here, I mean longer than a year, and people still talk about
Mm.
it. It's like the hits. It's those things that are just undeniable. Like when Black Panther first had come out, and niggas just couldn't stop talking about it. When the Into the Spider Verse came out, and niggas couldn't because it was just so groundbreaking and so much people loved it, and it brought so many new people into the verse and the lore and all that stuff surrounding it. D&D's movie wasn't that. And I ain't even saying, oh, it didn't do well. I'm sure it did well, but it didn't do that well that long.
Mm.
And I'm pretty sure when they drop the Blu-ray DVD, they're not gonna see a massive spike in sales from that.
No, but I do understand why he would say that because D&D was considered something that's for the quote unquote unpopular people,
Uh-huh.
right? And to think that okay, a marketing team sees enough money to make an entire movie about this particular IP, I think that says something,
How
right?
how how similar to the game? You watched it, right?
Yes.
How similar to the game was the movie?
I mean, of course there was a lot of like IP references, like D&D references, But of course, they had to do their own little creative spin. Of course, there was their own little social justice message they gotta put in, right? And all this other stuff to like
Panda.
muddy the waters from what it originally is, right? It's like what's the best way to say it? It's like when you buy like apple juice from the store. It's like, yeah, okay, it got apple flavors. You know, it's apple. It tastes like apple,
It's a
but you don't know
juice.
what.
It's a juice, and it kind of like apple.
Yeah, but you notice a bunch of other shit in there that's like, fucking with it.
Ah.
And maybe there's a little too much sugar. There's probably some preservatives and some other garbage in it. It's like, okay, yes, it's a D&D movie, but there's other garbage going on, right? That's how it is.
Okay. So even with that, it's not the pure D&D experience, and they did
No.
They did take some stretches to kind of
Creative
pander
liberties, right?
pander to the topics of the time or some things that
Right.
they feel
For a more mainstream audience. They
Yeah.
did tailor it around a more mainstream audience.
So even with that, they took an already outstanding IP, they tried to make it more accessible and more inviting, and it still didn't make the kind of sway that would the kind of cultural shift or move to make anyone talk about it longer than a month, 2 months. So it wasn't at the apex of its popularity. Come on. It's not. I feel like the popularity hasn't shifted in recent years. I feel like D&D has been pretty stable, or like, I don't want to say it's plateaued because there's obviously room for more growth. And I think Baldur's Gate itself is going to be a trigger for a wave of new D&D players.
And I hope so.
I think
what I would
Baldur's
really
Gate, I think this point that he's making now comes after Baldur's Gate has been out for a while, because I don't think D&D is at its peak. I think it's going for its peak now. I think it's actually been stagnant for a while, and they tried to move the needle with the movie, but it wasn't as successful as they thought it would be. But Baldur's Gate is actually doing that work now. That's what I think is happening.
So, and that's fair. I can see that.
Byron Antonis in the chat say project managers. Boy, I don't want to say I feel like project managers are a big part of the problem, but I recognize that in the hierarchy of these corporations and businesses in general, project managers, their job is to make sure that the people higher up are good, to make sure that the people higher up are happy or content, regardless of what that entails. Because at the end of the day, their job is to manage. So they're the puppet. They're the actual motion. The project manager is the enactment of the higher ups' wills, and the higher ups don't have that connection. The project manager is their liaison. That's the connection between the development side and the corporate side.
And I think we have a video that's going to touch upon this, but essentially the higher ups are only going to feed or promote what gives them the most money. So it ain't gonna be the product manager. You know who it can be? It's probably gonna be the marketing team, if anything, right? Because the marketing team can be able to say, "Hey, this is how we tap into the market. This is what the people wants. This is what the trends are going for. This is what the market is saying is most profitable. That doesn't necessarily mean the most fun, right? And we have to keep in mind, right? We as a player understand this, right? Profitable does not necessarily mean that it's going to be fun. But the higher ups don't care. They just care that, hey, what's going to provide that biggest return, and then they feed that. Whatever that group of body of people is, that's what they're going to feed. And that's what's happening because what we're seeing here with Larian Studios is that we have a group of intelligent, creative people that focus on the game. And the reason why all these developers are shitting their pants is because that's not what they've been doing. Larian Studios has exposed their hand. And we finally see exactly what is, maybe not exactly, but we get a better idea. It's becoming clearer, right? We can see through the veil, right? We've taken the red pill. we have a better idea of what's going on because we see what happens when a company prioritizes creativity and they prioritize fun. And this is what these guys are bitching about. This is what they're literally bitching about. Oh my god, how could you make a fun game? This hurts my bottom line.
Hey, Byron also in the chat says that's not their job. Their job is to see the vision is executed by the development team. At Larian, the higher ups set the vision for quality and adherence to the D&D source material. Exactly. The project
Yes, I agree.
manager,
Completely.
they enact the will that's put upon them by the people that run the studio, by the people that run these corporations. And they are the worst people to make these decisions because they're concerned for the most part, because obviously that's not their concern here at Larian. Even the CEO, the head of Larian.
And I'm not even seeing these messages. I don't know. Wait, is it on YouTube?
This on the YouTube side.
Oh.
Side. Yeah, I got it up here.
All right.
But it's that vision that the higher ups have. That's the differentiator between these different studios, the AAA studios, the indie studios. Because of the indie studios, there are no higher ups. That's the team. Like that's them. It's them.
Right. And to get back to his point, like yes, you are correct. The product managers, right, and there's probably a lot of these companies, EA, Activision, Bungie, Blizzard, there probably are a lot of product managers who care about their product, right? Who cares about the game? I have no doubt in my mind, but I still want to go back to the point of the higher ups, right? And I'm talking about the stakeholders, right? The people who look at the end of the day, say how much money this is brought in. Those people are only going to feed. They're not going to feed the passionate product manager. Not if his idea is profitable. So I agree, but we're seeing here what these companies are really after. I mean, it's been glaringly obvious if you even try to pay attention.
They ain't been hiding it.
They have not been hiding it for a long time. I just think that we didn't realize how, I think it's the analogy when you put like a frog in, warm water and you slowly turn up the heat.
Yep.
Right? This is what we've been experiencing. Right? We are the frog. The players are the frog in the pot. Right? And they said that heat 1, 2 battle pass.
Oh, it ain't too bad.
3 season pass.
Oh, this manageable.
4 more microtransactions. 5 more skins. 6, right? 6 we cooking. We be cooking at 6, but we like, hey, this is what the industry is.
We done used to it. We say this. This just the pot.
Then,
this just how the pot is.
This Larian come with a cool water, and they pour it on you, and they shock the system. You're like, you realize you done forget what cool water felt like. You forgot what cool water felt like, and this is what these developers are tripping over.
Let's push on because he's still on his first video. Okay, the last part of his tweet. The whole reason I paused it here is because I actually wanted to see what it was he was saying instead of getting a summarized version. And I get where he's coming from, but I disagree directly with most of these points. And this is a small, incomplete list. It's a very incomplete list. Larian is coming into this game swinging with a gigantic weight of expectation to deal with. That's a detriment more than anything, eh? But they're also doing it with an immense amount of wind, direct experience, resources, specialty tooling, etc. at their backs. Nigga, every developer has that fucking wind. Every major development company has that wind.
CD Projekt Red?
Like, what is
CD Projekt Red?
That's not something that's unique to Larian Studios. That's the fucking standard for long-running game development companies.
Right.
They have
I can't.
a breadth of experience and a laundry list of past projects under their belt to learn from. That's what Larian did. I don't. Yeah, wait. This nigga ain't making no sense to me. He ain't making no sense to me. But
Let's move on. Let's move on.
Context, but I think it misses the perspective of the consumer. We don't know anything about game design or how hard it is. We just know that Destiny is deleting hundreds of dollars worth of expansions when they feel like it, that Diablo is constantly reminding us to buy skins in their store, and most PC ports have been abysmal lately. Remember, that tweet
Still mute. You still mute.
I almost threw up looking at that fucking
That
screenshot of the
PC port
Last
was
of Us.
atrocious.
Boy, oh my god. And
Almost unrecognizable.
Byron in the chat. All Larian did was set a vision for quality. Larian is not a US company. US companies say their product is quality but don't deliver. Oh yeah, that's the American way, boy. Just tell niggas some shit, sell it. They sell as much as you can before they find out.
Right, before they figure out what's going on.
And then once they figure it out, we're sorry.
Deny, act like it never happened.
Oh no. Oh yeah. They apologize after they can't deny it any longer. We're going down. Hello. Whoa. What happened there?
Yeah.
Alright, we good now. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that was just now. That was strange.
We need like a scene for coming back soon instead of like starting now.
Yeah, instead of the standby.
Yeah.
Alright, so you got this back up?
Yeah, I see your stream. We back, guys. We don't know. We had some issues. I don't know. Internet just started to bug out or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what that.
We back at it now.
It was a Discord issue because the OBS was running fine. Everything else seemed fine. I just needed to shut down and restart Discord.
Mhm.
But we back. Let me get this back going again. But yeah, that's just the American way. You just say some shit and sell as much as you can. And then deny when niggas call you out until they have undeniable proof. Then you apologize and halfway fix it. Or just distract them with something new.
Right. I mean, in this video alone, we saw a couple of apologies. Oh, the game didn't turn out well, but you know, it didn't come up to our expectations. But
Didn't hit our benchmark Anyway, let's get through this because we have
Uh.
more. We have more. I like the other two videos even more than this. I feel like this was still a relatively tame, but the next one he digs a bit more. Anyway, we could get to it. We could get to it when we get there.
Tweet was made nearly a month before Baldur's Gate 3 blew up, and it was still contentious with fans speaking up about their frustrations and developers chiming in to say what felt like game development is hard, you don't get it, be quiet. Baldur's Gate 3 is a game from a large, passionate studio that
And
refuses
I want you to
add
pause it right there. Pause it right there.
microtransactions, gave players
So there's a saying is that, and I don't even know if this fully applies, but I can say it anyway, and if it comes out and it makes sense, I can move forward with it. A doctor does not need to have cancer to understand it. And the reason I say that is a person does not need to know how to create a game to know what a fun game is.
To criticize it, but I don't
Right.
have to be a professional. I don't have to I don't have to be a cobbler. I don't have to be a shoemaker to tell you the shoe is uncomfortable.
Right. Oh, but you need the certain arch. It needs to be 5 degrees, and then you need to have this made of this particular material. The shoe is shit.
Don't feel good.
I whatever that means, sort it out.
I don't know how you could fix it, but I'm telling you, as a person purchasing this shoe from you,
Right.
I don't like this shoe. I don't know what goes into it, but you do. So I'm gonna describe what I don't like. I don't like
Right.
microtransactions. I
Right.
don't like loot boxes.
I don't like season passes.
I don't like an uncomfortable fucking shoe. Fix it. That's it.
So,
Oh well,
don't
you
give
know,
me this shit.
hundreds of other shoemakers make their shoe exactly the same, and all of their niggas are
What?
wearing uncomfortable shoes too.
But the thing is, I got even a better analogy. I create a game today. I go on Unity. I could download a game. Not download. Sorry, create a game, and I say, hey, you, look at the stream, play my game, and you say, hey, Scoot, your game is trash. I don't like it. Oh, but it took me 60 hours to make this game. How you don't know all the time I had to spend coding for this game? But Scoot, the level design is shit. There's no music, and the thing glitch on the front screen. Right? You don't need to know.
You know how much bugs I had to fix to get this
Right.
product out. You know how much.
Right.
You know how much debugging. You know how much troubleshooting I had to do to get this one mechanic to work exactly to. I understand. The game still fucking sucks, bro.
Yes. And if I was to make a game in Unity today, I expect the game to suck, regardless how much effort I put in.
Let's get back to the video.
What's your point? This guy's trying anyway.
Oh.
early access so they could address any problems that arose before launch, and it's taking Steam charts by storm. So why should fans not use that as a gold standard of how to do it right? And why would a AAA studio not look at it and say, hey, maybe cramming microtransactions into our game isn't a good look? When Mass Effect 4 comes out, I don't want to see a $20 Liara skin, and I hope that its performance is tested across all platforms before release. Am I in the wrong for not wanting microtransactions and a stable video game at launch?
Hold on, your voice mute again, Leroy.
Look at how simple. I just keep forgetting I gotta unmute. Look at how simple it sounds. Look at how simple the requests are that we're making. When you just summarize, he summarized that so well just now. Am I insane to not want microtransactions and to have a stable game?
Right.
How
Am I
is
asking
that
for too much?
asking for too much? But how is
Hold on,
that?
because someone is... So long as the game is free to play, I don't mind microtransactions.
Which is fair.
This logic in Twitch chat. Hold up, because this is important. This is important. I glad that you brought that up. I've been waiting for this moment. Okay. Do you guys remember when microtransactions were actually micro?
When they were actually a
When they
couple
used to sell the
cents,
skins
20
for like
cents,
99
25,
cents,
50 cents, maybe a dollar.
99.
Maybe a dollar, maybe $2.
That's a microtransaction, not $20 for
Keyword
skin.
is micro. Keyword is micro. $20 saying
Micro.
micro. You telling me
So
for the price of one skin, I could go out and I could buy food to feed myself twice?
right.
No way.
So I don't mind. Okay, you designed a game that's free to play because you want the bar to entry to be as low as possible. That's why they make free to play games, right?
Exactly.
Because they want the bar to entry as low as possible, right? But if you're gonna have microtransactions in the game, of course it shouldn't be pay to win. Of course, that goes without saying. But the microtransaction should be micro, and they should not be trying to use these sort of whaling mechanics. I guess that's what I'm gonna call it, to try to milk as much money out of you as possible.
Mm.
It has to be micro. So there's nothing wrong with someone making a free game, Brawlhalla. I use that example, and they have 99 cents for a couple of skins. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. I could get behind that. $20 for a skin. Now you sucking ass.
You say Ling Logic say I think Warframe does it best. It has microtrans, but you can earn the currency in game, and the season pass is completely free. I like that setup.
Yeah,
I have
I've
zero
heard good
issues with
things.
that setup. As long,
I've
boy,
heard good things about Warframe.
all of this could literally be subverted if there weren't multiple currencies. If there was just one singular currency and you could grind in game to get whatever the fuck you want. Because the
Right.
microtransactions aren't the issue. It's the fact that I have to pay real life money. I can't swap out time for money. I have to open my wallet for me to get access to any of these assets that you all put in the fucking game. The assets
Right.
are in the game. I already
Right.
like but I feel like having time interchangeable for real life money, I'm cool with that. You could put as much you could put as much little fucking purchases as you want, as long as I could grind in the game. If I really want it, I could sit down one weekend and log in about 20 hours in the game to get towards what it is I'm trying to buy. As opposed to I have to give you $5, I have to give you $10, I have to get the battle pass for $9.99. No, but
Right. Having the best skin locked to the last level in the season pass. The season pass takes about 2 months to finish, and so now you gotta grind this game like a fucking job.
hey, say
Even something like,
yeah.
oh, you can say it.
Even something like RuneScape for us 90s babies out there, you can grind for gold and buff. I never paid
Wait,
for I never
RuneScape
paid
is.
for RuneScape. I never paid for RuneScape.
Wait, RuneScape been getting it right. I ain't gonna lie, they been getting it right.
I never one time opened my wallet for RuneScape. I did for Maple Story, but they only get $5 from me. But RuneScape, no, but so the thing is, we say all this to say all of the examples are there proving that it is possible to take a
Right, and
different
that it
route or a
works.
different approach, and that it can work, but they're choosing not to. That's the main point. They are willingly being predatory in their practices, because they realize that can get them the most money in the shortest amount of time. That's all.
That's
At the end of the day, it's just short term thinking on their part. They trying to maximize the money and then turn around and churn something new out because they knew that that last shit that they made was garbage, and they trying to get something new before you realize that it's garbage to distract you from that. Anyway, let's get back to this video.
Credit where credit's due now. There have been some really good examples of AAA games like the Dead Space remake and the Resident Evil 4 remake come to mind, both of which have been massive successes for EA and Capcom. Vampire Survivors came along and took the internet by storm last year. Do I need to bring up?
Let's no. So Elden Ring and what the last one was before that too, and the Resident Evil 4 remake. Absolutely
Yeah.
love them. Magnificent games. But the one I want to focus on real quick is this little gem right here. Vampire Survivors is such. Look at it. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this Game Boy Color quality fucking graphics. You wouldn't think that I sunk a week of my life into this game because I was hooked. I got Dev to start. Dev was checking it out. He was looking at it. Oh yeah, that look fun. That look whatever. Y'all know Dev by now. When Dev
Yeah, once
finds
he likes
something he
something,
like,
that's it.
he like it. A Dev fucking liked this when I put him on. I don't think that nigga went to sleep that night. Because I was up till about 4 playing it. And he stayed up longer than I did. It's the gameplay, but it's the game
Hold up, we get
itself.
someone. Destiny is the worst at this microtransaction thing. It's free to play, but you have to buy DLC skins and dungeon keys, sorry, for the seasons, which is wild.
Don't tell Dev that as much as he fucking loved Destiny.
And just minor correction, Destiny is actually not free to play. Destiny is free to try. It's important that we get a definition. No, I'm serious. Destiny is free to try, and the reason why I say that is because the only way you get any value out of Destiny, like in terms of trying to figure out what's happening in the game, you have to open up your wallet. The things that you have access to as a free player is like next to nothing. You got a few strikes, maybe Gambit, and PvP. So if you want to understand what's going on in the story, if you want to understand the lore in the game, you have to pay money. They give you the offering as a free user is so small that it only can be called either trial period or free to try. Because you're not playing Destiny with what they give you as a free player. There's nothing in Destiny that's really free. It really isn't.
Damn.
This is one of my biggest gripes with Destiny for me is that as much as I like Destiny 2, I like the gameplay, I like the lore, I like the graphics. Like Bungie knows how to create a world. They do know how to do it. But what pissed me off so much is that every time I leave Destiny for a couple of months and I come back, there's some new DLC. And I said, why is every time I open up this game, a game that I paid $80 from day one, I give them $40 to get Rise of Osiris DLC, or I need to get Light Works or whatever, some other DLC. Like, what happened to the game that I paid for? Oh, we strip out that beginning part. You can't access that no more. You need to jump on this DLC to see what's going on in the new campaign. It's like, what? The new player experience in Destiny is been rotted out. It's not even there anymore. It's not even there. Like, how does a new player even jump into Destiny and fully understand what is even going on? There's so much shit going on, and then not even they raise the light levels, which is another sort of like sneaky ploy. I see your comment, Logic. Let me finish. But it's another sneaky ploy. Keep raising the light level, so you could keep grinding, mate. It Destiny is free to try. It's not free to play. If you can, like, free to play, to me, free to play means that you have access to 80 to 90% of the content for free.
Yeah.
That's what free to play means to me. If you have less than that, then your game is a trial or it's free to try.
The old cell phone Snake was free to play. Solitaire on the computer, free to play. The old pinball game on the computer, free to play. You got 100% of the game and you won't have to pay for shit. That's genuinely free to play. I kind of like the term free to try. I like the term free to try. Because that's what it is. You just get a little taste of the game. You don't get the full experience.
So he has another comment. Yeah, the trial version of games back in the day. Yeah, it is. It is. and
Yeah.
Bungie, and I don't mean this ain't for you, Logic. Like I might seem a little heated and upset. This isn't for you, right? This energy is not really for you necessarily. It's more the fact that developers like Bungie would use free to play to try to make themselves off to be something that they are not, right? And we have to make sure to stand our ground, right, as players, as like what these definitions mean, because a developer will try to stretch it and do all kind of fuck, and then you in a whole different area, and then you trying to figure out how the hell did we end up here. But yeah, that's it. That's it.
Look here.
Oh,
Me and the boys have almost 10K hours in Destiny 2.
10K, god damn. Okay, but enough is enough.
I'm glad. Hey, I'm glad you overcame
so
that
glad.
addiction. I'm glad you overcame that challenge in your life.
Oh, the thing is, why is it Bungie making a Destiny 3? I want you guys to sit on that. I'm not gonna say anything. They got the money for it. Don't you dare say they ain't got the money. They got the money.
They got the resources.
Better question: why did they make Destiny 2? Oh, y'all ain't want y'all ain't ready for that one.
Same reason they make Overwatch 2. Anyway, let's get back to this. Boy, we still on this first fucking video.
I know, boy. Let's go. Let's keep going.
All right. Let's push through.
Took the internet by storm last year.
Sorry,
Do
one
I
more
need
comment.
to bring up
When things like Monster Hunter have free updates for years until new expansion drops. Oh yeah, Monster Hunter. When they give you free stuff, like when I was playing Monster Hunter World, I think they had like a free Rio skin. And like the full Rio outfit. They had the Final Fantasy DLC. Remember when we fought that monster, the Behemoth?
The Behemoth,
Yeah,
the crossover from
that
Final
was
Fantasy.
DLC. Right, the crossover, completely free. Right, that's anyway. Yeah, Monster Hunter is like one of them rare games where they actually do give you free stuff even after you've paid your full purchase price. It's rare. It don't normally happen.
Don't get used to good treatment. Not from these devs, no. Well, let me not say that. Not from these teams.
Elden Ring again? But that tweet blew up in the development sphere, and frankly, the pushback is just ridiculous. Developers should be looking at what Baldur's Gate 3 did and trying to replicate where they can, not jumping up to defend games that are cramming in practices that fans are getting fed up with. And make no mistake about it, these decisions impact game design. Many games are utilizing battle passes and player engagement as a metric of success. For a player, that means more grindy missions. That means more reminders to stop in the shop. It means a boring grind because keeping players engaged is...
Oh my god, nothing is more immersion breaking than you reminding me to fucking spend money, boy. I hate it so... Boy, don't pop nothing in front of fucking me talking about what's new in the shop. If I want to check out the shop, I could go to the shop. You make the button easy enough to find. I will go to the shop.
And one thing I always noticed too is that these games could be as buggy as shit.
Garbage.
But the cash shop always works.
Oh, that can't go down. That can't go down. In fact, the only downtime the cash shop has is probably like a 5-minute maintenance time when they updating it with the new shit.
The fundamental games, the characters could be broken, Overwatch 2, but the cash shop always works. How? Why is that always the case? But yes, I do agree with Leroy, where these cash shops are very immersion breaking for me because it takes you out of the game. It's like the game is supposed to be fun, and this is not it
at all.
You constantly trying to nickel and dime me. for every minute I put into the game, that is not fun. That's the very definition of not fun. I know that's not a word, but you get my point.
Yeah. Yup. Yup. Let's keep this rolling here.
A key metric. Many of the people who came out to talk about why Baldur's Gate 3 shouldn't be the new standard have since walked back those statements, and I'm glad, because if the
Good.
industry can't take a good hard look at
Because
what's
they don't
going
understand
wrong, why fans reacted the way they did to Elden Ring and Baldur's Gate 3, and then make impactful changes, we're screwed. Also, people seem to be using the fact that Larian is a big studio against them, the fact that they had a long development cycle against them.
Yeah, but
Really?
yeah, but
Blizzard is also a huge studio with over 8,500 employees
Exactly.
across
8,005 compared to 400. Come on, what are we even talking about?
You see what happened with Blizzard? They too busy sexually assaulting their employees. That's what happened.
several offices.
That's what's
they
happening.
credited every employee at Blizzard in the release of Diablo 4. Bungie is a huge studio with over 1,500
Logic in the chat again. Remnant 2, Elden Ring, Monster Hunter Rise, and many others doing it right. Yeah.
Yep,
And Remnant 2, we gotta get that too. Oh,
absolutely. Because the
wait.
first Remnant was fucking delicious.
But I would get Remnant 2 before I get Baldur's Gate, actually. Just
I
because
could see
I
that.
gotta play that with
I
the
could
boys.
see that. I could see that. I could see
I have to
that.
play that with the boys.
I could see that. I could see that. And it would make more sense because Baldur's Gate is gonna be a longer adventure overall. I feel like we're gonna be done with Remnant 2 way sooner than we would be done with Baldur's Gate.
Right.
So it makes sense to get that one first because each one we're gonna get sucked into. And with Remnant 2, it ain't even so much the lore because I could give less of a fuck about the story and stuff in Remnant. Like, it's cool, but it wasn't so groundbreaking. Like, I don't remember none of the major details from the first one. I just remember the gameplay loop was fucking amazing. The guns felt great. The difficulty, just right. I remember the feeling of the game, and that's the most important part. I keep telling people, but the reason Capcom is in one of my top three favorite studios, development studios, is because, and you know me as a writer, as a person that writes, I really harp on good storytelling, and I love a good deep storyline and engaging characters, nice world building. I love all of that shit, and I could ignore that for a Capcom game because it's so fucking fun. Dragon's Dogma story makes no fucking sense. Dragon's Dogma story was so bad I didn't think they could make it worse. Then I watched the anime.
But the anime was dog shit, boy. Oh
Wait,
my goodness.
The anime made less sense than the fucking game. It made less sense than the game. But still, I am gonna day one purchase a Dragon's Dogma 2. For me, at least. I know I getting it. Because I know Capcom could deliver on that. Even if it's just a fucking reskin of the first one. If it's a new map, new characters, they have new job classes. New job classes alone added to fucking Dragon's Dogma changes the fucking game. Anyway, all is to say, the gameplay speaks for itself. The game itself says everything that needs to be said. There were some excellent choices. You had Remnant 2, absolutely. Elden Ring, absolutely. Monster Hunter Rise, absolutely. Monster Hunter, Capcom series. Who follows the story in any Monster Hunter game, boy? Scoop, do you? You're the most avid Monster Hunter player out of our group.
Nope.
Do you actively follow any of their stories?
I see a pukey and I kill it.
Simple man. Simple game. They know what you want and they deliver on it. Logic say they have story. Exactly, boy. Exactly. No, that's literally the point. Anyway, let me get back to this. I just wanted to take that because you listed some good games there, and I wanted to highlight for people who may not have caught on or may not be aware of the difference that we're talking about. That's the difference. The fact that the story is damn near non-existent, but I'm still absorbed 20, 30,
Wait,
40 hours into this.
and I think we're coming into a generation that probably hasn't even played good games.
No, they're
Like their
growing up on garbage.
their best gaming experience is like
Fortnite and
Fortnite
Call of Duty. Fortnite, Call of Duty
and Call
2K.
of Duty. And Call of Duty ain't really a bad game, but it's like,
Play it out. It's not original. It's
yeah, but it's like
it's the
there's other
exact
stuff
same
out
shit.
there, but
Bro, I don't feel
like,
like Call of Duty has innovated much since like maybe the second Black Ops. And that
yeah.
was 2015, 16, somewhere around there. Like it ain't been no real innovation. It's just see, Assassin's Creed innovated, but they innovated the wrong fucking way. They was going the wrong way on the track for years, so they miles back there. And they trying to find some way back with this new one that they released and talking about going back to their roots. Realistically, and I could be real with you, I think this is just them throwing one out there to say, look, we made we made one just like y'all say y'all like, while they still do fuckery with the others. Because don't forget,
Remember,
they are developing multiple Assassin's Creed games, and only one of them they highlight as being similar to the original set. Everything else under wraps. Come on now. They throwing us a bone and they could keep doing fuck. They appeasing the naysayers and the original Assassin's Creed fans. They trying to appease us real quick. Here, you throw y'all one, go play that for a little bit. And I guarantee the next one will
Logic in
be
the
another
Logic in the
fucking
chat.
Valhalla.
Overwatch 2 has fire gameplay though. It's just a hot take. The loot box system was way better.
The
In
loot box
Overwatch 1, I
system was
never
better
spent
in
a
the
dollar
original.
and had almost every
I've been
almost
I've been
had
hearing
every
that a
skin.
lot. I've been hearing that a lot from like veteran Overwatch players too. That Overwatch 2 is essentially a downgrade from the original Overwatch. And the main things that they promised that people was looking forward to in Overwatch 2, niggas didn't even deliver on launch.
Exactly.
The main things got postponed. So now you have a shell of what the game used to be. And yeah, it
You
is
know,
fun. Overwatch 2 is fun. We played it a few times.
you
Overwatch
know the
2
gaming
is
industry
fun.
is in shambles. When you have one of the industry leading titans and people are wishing for loot boxes. They miss loot boxes over this new shit that they have today. Remember, we had those whole lawsuits around loot boxes and their predatory practices. There's stories and testimonies of parents bitching about their children spending 5 to 6, 7, how many dollars because they go and get this loot box. There's been lawsuits around loot box. Like loot box was cancer.
Wait, in
And we like,
Australia,
hey,
I think in Australia they've been outright banned to some degree. It was something along them lines because it's a Australian content creator I follow and he's talking about wait, they wasn't playing when it is like, bro, this is straight up predatory. Get this shit out of our country.
and we're like, oh, we used to have loot boxes. Like that's how bad it is right now. It's horrible. And I don't want to talk too much. We still gotta finish this video. Let's finish this
Yeah,
video
yeah,
and
yeah,
move on to the next one.
yeah. Because we could just be reiterating different perspectives of the same point.
Several offices. BioWare is a huge studio with over 500 employees across several offices, and Larian is also a large studio with over 400 employees across several offices. All of them have established beloved IPs with a ton of lore to pull from.
Well, to be
All of
honest,
them-
sorry, one comment. Well, to be honest, the loot box system isn't inherently bad. It's just the people with gambling addictions are going to be toxic everywhere they go, no matter the system.
And when the developers or when the decision makers decide to zero in on those people with the addictions, when they decide to ensure that everyone, including those people with the addictions, see all of the purchases that could be made and the possible things that they could gamble with. That's called predatory. You're
Yes.
literally preying on
Right.
deficiencies or on the weaknesses
Right.
that these certain individuals have because you know that they are present. That's predatory. When you
Right.
consciously do it, knowing that these people are present and knowing that these practices that you're enacting, these things that you're enabling, are going to feed into that addiction and encourage them to fall deeper into that addiction, you're a predator. That's it. Anyway, let me start this up again. Let's we gotta finish at least this video, but
have a lot of money to make video games, and all of them had a long time to make anything they wanted to make. To say Baldur's Gate 3 is successful because it's aligned with Dungeons and Dragons is insanity. You think 800,000 Steam players are playing a game called Baldur's Gate 3 because of Dungeons and Dragons?
thank you, wait.
No.
That's absurd.
It's clearly gone
That's
far
absurd.
beyond that
That's
audience.
absurd to think
I don't
that.
know anything about
That was my
Dungeons and
opening point.
Dragons. I didn't know this game had anything to do with Dungeons.
That was my whole opening point. This nigga just doubled down on it. My whole opening point was that this game wasn't fucking harping off of the success and the widespread acclaim of D&D. It wasn't being built off of the a franchise or an IP currently in its prime, and they just fucking floating off of the laurels of that success. No, this is off of their own merit. Yes, they had a great IP to start with, but so did the movie, and the movie isn't seeing a fraction. Boy, the movie been out so long. I'm pretty sure Baldur's Gate now is more of a success than that movie was to this date. And yeah, we can't compare like visual media to gaming media because they're two very different mediums with two very different audiences and requirements. But still, just looking at it, subjectively looking at it, the D&D movie's success as a movie isn't a fraction of Baldur's Gate 3's success as a video game.
Right. Right. No, we have to admit they created a good game. Like there's no sugarcoating. There's no denial. No movement we could do to say, oh well, they piggybacking off of this or they using that. No. These guys put their head down and produce something of actual value in a gaming space. Hold up, I want you all to finish the video as well, but it's the minority that has the addiction, aka whales. But in totality, the loot box system helps everyday man. Once you play a certain amount of hours, you get a box, you level up, you get a loot box, which pushes you to play and level up even more.
One point I do want to make with this statement earlier, it's the minority that has the addiction, aka the whales. When I talk minority and majority, I don't talk specifically in terms of individual for individual, because every individual isn't the same. Every individual's value to a company isn't gonna be the same.
Yeah. Very true.
In a company that's looking to make a profit, the majority are the people who are going to spend the most.
Right.
The
And
people who they can make the most money from. And if those happen
from
to be the whales, guess what? The whales might be the minority of that demographic, but there are still people with lesser addictions, but it's an addiction nonetheless. Gambling
right.
in and
And
of itself has been established recently as an addiction that's creeping to earlier ages. That's why you see so much issues with things like stake.com and
it's
all of these sports betting stuff. All of this is happening with younger and younger audiences because it's creeping down the line to these younger demographics. So the whales, yes, the whales are a major part of it because they contribute the most. But when the average player for Fortnite has spent over $80 in Fortnite, that ain't just the whales, boy. That ain't just the whales. That's gonna be, let's say, dozens of people who have spent thousands. is gonna be hundreds of people who have spent hundreds, and then it's gonna be thousands of people who spent around that 80, let's say the 50 to $100 range. So it trickles down, but it's still a major problem overall.
It ain't even about the trickle. Yes, it's trickled down. All those points you mentioned are very true. It's also the fact that the ramifications of game design from a AAA perspective. What are they going? And we mentioned this with the product manager. What are they going to prioritize when they see that, hey, these whales are willing? The average Joe only gives us $50. The whale's giving us $10,000. How do we design our mechanics to utilize that to get that $10,000 every time? Right, as Leroy said himself, not every player is valued the same. They don't give a shit about me because I don't give them any money. Like, yes, they are a minority, but that minority has a disproportionately large say because the money, money aspect. It ain't the fact that the whales just exist. It ain't just the fact that whales exist, because I don't necessarily care that someone spends $10,000, $60,000 in a game. That's bad. You should not do that. But there are people going to do it. You spend the money how you wish. It's the fact that game developers are now designing their games around the whales. Right? They're prioritizing the preferences and the addictions of the whales. And they're sort of pushing players like me to the back corners, and we have to deal with it. And that's why it feels like shit. That's how we get Overwatch 2. And we end up wishing for loot boxes.
All right. We can finish the video for real now. It's the last stretch. We can finish this video for real. This 9-minute video.
9 minutes. This video's not even that long. We stretched this bitch.
Wait, how long? Hold on. Let me check how long we've been live.
An hour and 36 minutes. 8 seconds.
Oh my god.
Let's go. Get the.
Okay.
Dungeons and Dragons, and you know why I'm playing it? Because I like good games with a heavy focus on storytelling and bears. But anyway, it wasn't all doom and gloom from the development side. Thank you, Juno Blees, formerly of Riot, for jumping in and echoing exactly what I'm saying here. Her quote tweet reads, "I can't disagree with this one more.
You hear what he said that? You hear what he said? You hear that, man, because you won't say nothing, man. Hold up, because I can't hear your voice.
Hold on. Let me run it back.
Focus on storytelling and bears. But anyway, it wasn't all doom.
So I caught the and bears thing, and I know what he's referencing, but I tried to ignore it so we could keep going. I know exactly what he's referencing.
Anyway, we leave that right there. Hey, the sly dog.
I know exactly what he's talking about because I saw the video too, and I was quite disturbed.
Doom and gloom from the development side. Thank you, Juno Blees, formerly of Riot, for jumping in and echoing exactly what I'm saying here. Her quote tweet reads, "I can't disagree with this one more. Whenever a game disrupts the industry and delights players beyond expectations, it absolutely raises industry and genre standards regardless of why and how."
Facts. That's just facts. It's what it is.
We should look at the Larian success story and ask ourselves, how are we going to make our games better and create the next games that shake up the industry? Players should and must always expect more from us, never less.
That's it.
Thank you. I implore AAA devs to look at these games that are being celebrated and look at your pipeline to see why the consumer is getting frustrated about the experience I outlined in this video. And obviously try and make an improvement, because telling me how hard it is when you're breaking profit and revenue records isn't a super compelling argument from the customer's perspective. Is Baldur's Gate 3 an outlier? Yes,
absolutely.
But I for one wish it could become the standard, and being told to shut up because I don't know game design doesn't feel super constructive. But hey, I'm just some idiot on the internet who doesn't know anything about game design. I guess I'll just go buy my horse armor and call it a day. Enjoy your $20 on top of your $100 for the collector's edition on top of your $15 for the battle pass. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. because I get why you're frustrated, and it's really frustrating to see people not saying, hey, maybe we could learn a thing or two from Larian. I'm enduring Baldur's Gate 3, and I hope game development continues to grow from where it is today. I hope you do too. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And for more on all things gaming, keep it right here on IGN.
That was a rare, wonderful take from IGN. Super rare.
Yeah.
Super rare.
Yeah.
Super rare.
But he's exactly right. And this Baldur's Gate is what the industry needs. They couldn't come at a better time. They couldn't come at a better time. Let's get to the next video. I think we may only be able to get 2 videos because this next video is even longer.
Yeah. But this is a good one. So the last one that I want to make sure to credit the people to, the first one was IGN. This page we're on now is Legacy Killer HD. He is one of my favorite independent gaming journalists, I guess you could call him. I don't know if you could officially call him a journalist, but he has some really good insight on industry news and updates, things as they come with new game releases. He talks more on the dev side, the development side, the corporate side of things, as well as the perspective of the gamer and the typical consumer. So Legacy Killer HD is the creator of this video that we about to start. Let me double check, make sure. Okay, nothing new in there. All right, so we can get this one started, and we are going to pause this way less, I promise.
A couple of weeks ago here on the channel, we talked about Baldur's Gate 3. We didn't talk specifically in regards to the hype and the anticipation in regards to the upcoming release of the game, but actually what it meant for the future of the RPG genre. And it was actually a lot of developers, many within this AAA games industry, pushing back on the possibility of this setting a new standard for the RPG genre. We had one developer calling it Rockstar level nonsense for scope. It all began with this thread from an indie developer who said, like a lot of people, I'm deeply excited about what the lovely folks at Larian accomplished with Baldur's Gate 3, but I want to gently preemptively push back against players taking that excitement and using it to apply criticism or erase standard RPGs going forward. This is not a new baseline for RPGs. This is an anomaly. And what was interesting was that this thread specifically got a lot of reactions, a lot of support from many of your favorite developers. We actually had Josh Sawyer, director at Obsidian Entertainment, most recently worked on Pentiment. Years ago, he worked on Fallout New Vegas, giving his support behind this thread. And we also saw developers from CD Projekt Red, BioWare, Obsidian, Criterion, Ubisoft, Hangar 13, Riot, Rockstar, Epic Games, Guerrilla Games, Focus Entertainment, Eidos Montreal, Bungie, Bethesda, Sony, Xbox, so on and so forth, and Insomniac, another one. It's just ridiculous the amount of developers that came out in support of this position. And while Baldur's Gate 3, as I have played a couple of hours of it now, it's not necessarily innovating too much on the RPG genre, but what it's doing is it's over-delivering for players. It's something that we really haven't seen with RPGs the last couple of years, at least on this scale. In terms of choices, consequences, customization, different build potential, all the various game systems that are here, the dice rolling, the D&D, DNA, Baldur's Gate 3 is special. And when I look at this AAA games industry, it really just shows kind of how a lot of developers, especially a lot of these studios which have these massive budgets, they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yo.
So I want you guys to take a good look at this game. Now, like you might not be able to see it, but this game doesn't look that far off from Divinity Original Sin 2.
Not at all.
Graphically. Very similar. They touch up the UI a little bit. Of course, the HUD's a little different. But this screams Divinity Original Sin 2.
Absolutely.
It ain't the graphics that people are going at after this game, because I know a lot of AAA developers. The graphics is so important. No, it is not. No, it is not. The reason why a lot of people will scream for graphics because they never had good gameplay.
So they figure at least it can look good. If it look flashy, it must be good.
Yes, because they want something, but they don't know, and that's the thing too. Like a lot of the players can't fully articulate exactly what they want, right? They can't fully articulate. That's why they sort of grasp at anything that sort of conveys the meaning, right? And good graphics is sort of an easy way to say, hey, look, this game is good because someone has spent time somewhere. The reason why we harp on good graphics is because graphics gives the impression that effort was put in. That's why we harp on about graphics. It ain't necessarily that we should never care about graphics, but we want to see as the players that effort has gone into making this.
Yep.
And if we can have the same looter shooters over and over again, the same stories, the same fucking mechanics over and over again, it's like, give me something. And it is why these people tend to go for graphics. But look at this game. This is not crazy
This ain't
graphics.
revolutionary graphics. It's saying
Probably
top of the line.
right. There's nothing crazy about this.
It's all
Nothing crazy about this. But the
Ultra
gameplay
HD
is
with
solid.
ray tracing.
Right, DSLL or whatever, or DLSS, whatever it's called. Oh, I could run it at 1,000 frames on my 4K monitor. I was like, oh, it's so pretty. And that's cool. That's good. It's fine that you're able to do that. It's fine that you're able to do that. We're not trying to. If that's how you enjoy your games, that's fine. But I just more for the developers than for the players.
Yeah.
The devs know what the people want. They want to know effort was put into the game.
Yeah.
That's it. Anyway.
Dollars. I don't think they're really understanding what a lot of players want nowadays in terms of games. It's not about those beautiful 4K graphics. It's about giving players replayability, giving players something that is very unique. And yes, Baldur's Gate 3 is very unique. It reminds me of those early 2000s to mid 2000s BioWare games, Dragon Age Origins, Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect 2, Jade Empire, those original Baldur's Gate games. It really is impressive what Larian has done here, and it's really the key to their success, I think, is listening to what their community wanted. And yes, the early access certainly has helped them, but right now it's remarkable seeing the celebration that we're having surrounding this game. It reminds me very much of last year with From Software, in which a lot of people were like, yeah, From Software understands what players want. And I think you can parallel a lot about their success with Larian, because in many ways they're not doing anything too crazy, but they're delivering what players want. And I think that's something that a lot of developers, a lot of your favorite studios definitely need to start listening to. But right now, Baldur's Gate 3 is blowing up. As this VG247 article says, Baldur's Gate 3, a single-player RPG with no microtransactions, is beating just about every game on Steam. And yeah, on Steam charts, has about 700,000 concurrent players that peaked yesterday, but right now it's already up to around 600,000, and I think it's like 9 or 10 in the morning here in the US, so that very much could end up being around 800 or 900 later on today. And I think it's because a lot of people were just dying for an RPG like this. And we've heard from other developers, from CD Projekt Red and even BioWare. They've talked about the difficulties of making cinematic RPGs work nowadays, but we look at a studio like Larian and, well, it's just impressive what they're doing here. And remember, I don't even know if you declare them a AAA studio, but they most definitely are delivering a AAA product. Now, we did see other people like, look at this. It's just ridiculous the amount of things that you can do in this game. This is just one example. For a seasoned D&D professional, stacking 45 crates to vault over a castle's ramparts is an obvious solution. That's just really cool. I just love the fact that there's so many different things that you can do in this game. We had another person tweeting out one of the reviews on Steam: beat a woman to death with a mace so I could steal her valuables, used a revive scroll, and then gaslit her into thinking I was the hero who saved her life, so now she is indebted to me. That's just, I love the freedom. I love the possibilities that
That is player choice, boy. That is player freedom, dog. Look at the depth each decision has, boy. Beat a woman to death with a mace to steal from her, revive her, and then convince her that you're the savior, so now she indebted to you. Come on.
Yeah, wait. That's 4D.
Come on.
That's savage.
That's if you can imagine it, the game allows you to do it, but that is player choice, but that is what we want from games. Especially games of this genre. That's what we're looking for.
That's what an RPG is. When you claim RPG, like this is where you varying towards. It ain't a fancy. It ain't just necessarily a fancy gun. It ain't just a sword with a bigger number. When you say an RPG, what you're saying is the game needs to account for all of my inputs. It needs to account for inputs that's not necessarily pre-designed. Let me say it that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just the scanner box, push the button, get the sugar cube. Right? It's also to say, hey, how can I push the boundaries? That's what makes a good RPG. That what makes a good game, period.
Mm-hmm.
When you allow the players, and this is like a tangent, because a lot of people, it's a little tangent, but a lot of people say, oh, Zelda's so great. What makes Zelda so great? It ain't necessarily IP. Like, Zelda's okay as an IP. It's okay, you know, it had decent game. But Tears of the Kingdom and the Breath of the Wild, the reason why those games is because it allows you, in some sense, to push the boundaries.
Freedom.
Tears of the Kingdom, you can build shit. Whatever you get different parts, you can stick it together. And who knows? There was a video of this guy came up with a mech suit in Tears of the Kingdom.
Yep.
If I find a video, I'll drop it in Discord. Right? And that's what makes the game good. You allow the user to push the boundaries. This is why I don't like when games give you unnecessary caps, where they try to limit you. You only can have this much. And like a good example is when they say, "Oh, we can't let the players have too much money, because if they have too much money, then they'll be able to do this and this, break the economy." If it's a single player game, who gives a fuck? If the person who's playing the game wants to break the economy,
let me be a god.
let them do it.
If I won't be a god, let me be a god.
Why stop them? Why limit them?
Right?
Why? Oh, you haven't built your game. Then go back to the drawing board and design the game in a way so someone can stretch the boundaries in that way. We nerfed this guy. He used poison in his build. We realized poison is too powerful, so we nerfed it.
Poison too.
Why? Don't nerf the poison. Buff the other builds. That's what you need to do. Don't nerf the poison. Buff the other builds. There's nothing wrong with the players pushing the boundaries, and that's because as a game, as an interactive medium, that's part of the reason. That's like part of the whole point of what makes it fun. Is that for the first time that you get to put your input, and you don't. I know some people are like, oh, they remove fall damage from this game. We need fall damage is unrealistic. And it's like, if it works for the game, why do you need it? If I wanted fall damage, I'll jump out my building. Obviously, I'm being extra, but you get the point.
Yeah.
Allow the players to push the boundaries.
That's all.
Give them the freedom. They know how to play the game. Don't insult their intelligence. Just give them the tools and let them go to town. That's it.
Give them the sandbox and let them play, but
this game offers. Now, what's also very interesting is Larian's position in terms of being pro-consumer, because a lot of people are giving attention to what they've said about microtransactions, and also the company's CEO. We'll actually start there. Sven Vink. He did an interview with PC Gamer about acquisitions and the possibility of Microsoft buying them out.
Listen to this nigga.
And this is what he said. He said, in a chat with Bloomberg, he responded to a question about a 2021 internal Microsoft list of potential acquisitions that circulated back in June this year when the whole Activision Blizzard trial with the FTC was going on. On that list, it also included Sega and Bungie, but it also had Larian. And he told Bloomberg that while it was always flattering to catch the eyes of parties like Microsoft, he's not at all tempted to sell the company just yet. I'm getting older, but I'm certainly not done yet. He worried that a monolithic corporate owner like Microsoft could end up limiting the studio creatively in the pursuit of profit, which it does feel like when you look at certain studios, especially like the likes of BioWare, they ended up chasing the cash and it really ruined that studio. But Vink reckons Larian's advantage is that the final authority rests with him, not a distant corporate overlord, and he's very invested in the gameplay of the studio's projects. We can do things in service of the games we're making, said the CEO, rather than pursuing a project management style that prioritizes efficiency and profit above all else. You don't hear that from company CEOs nowadays. I mean, you can also look back to just 4 years ago. There's this video right here in which he's talking about Baldur's Gate 3. I think it's behind the scenes of the game's development. And I mean, he's dressing up for the part. It's remarkable seeing a company CEO so creatively involved in a game. We'll watch it quickly.
I still can't hear you, Wade, if you're talking.
Look at this nigga, boy. This is the chosen one. This is him. This is the CEO. This is what I want from the CEO of my gaming company.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I want. Someone who ain't in this for the bottom line. He ain't in this for because guess what? It could come because he understands, as a lover of the medium, of the art medium itself, he understands, bro, when the art is good, they will come. Look at this nigga's in a full suit of armor with all.
I know that hot.
Wait,
I know that hot.
He is piping in that, but he don't care because he know it would have been a funny video. Come on, boy. Come on, boy.
I know you want to make the perfect game, but this is not the way. This is the way. Behold the secret sauce of Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay, it's cheesy, but you get the fact that this guy really is passionate about Baldur's Gate 3. And we talked about this again in my last video, but Larian, they had to prove themselves to get to this opportunity. So a lot of people are acting like Larian's this massive studio.
That's it. That's what I was talking about. Because remember earlier I said there was some problems in the development cycle. They had issues even getting this off the ground. And he still pushed for it. And look where we at now. Baldur's Gate 3 skyrocketing up the charts. In no time at all, top 10 most downloaded of all time. That ain't by accident.
Yes, they have 400 developers. Yes, they're working on established franchise with D&D, but also their road to get to this, it was long. It was strenuous. I mean, they had to prove themselves with Divinity Original Sin 2, and then finally Wizards of the Coast gave them this opportunity, and they have made the most of it. And right now, the reviews that have come out so far are looking extremely positive. We look to this PC Gamer review. Oh boy, it's good. Larian's latest is off to a great start and might be worth the 20-year wait. On Metacritic here, 94 out of 100. Only 4 reviews so far, but
scores.
the reviews, what they
Look at
say
them
specifically is, it's eye-opening. Baldur's Gate 3 is a fine contender for one of the best video game RPGs.
Just for context, over here in the corner, they have Street Fighter 6 sitting at a 92. It's less than Baldur's Gate. Resident Evil 4 sitting at a 92. These are both critically acclaimed, long-standing franchises. And actually, both of them from Capcom. Like this, the user score damn near matched the meta score. But the user score sitting at a 9.3. That's basically 93. Come on, boy. Like this, it ain't an accident, though. It's not. It can't.
RPGs ever made. I can't help but compare it to a great session of Dungeons and Dragons with your friends. It's something that when done correctly will stay with you long after you have finished a play session. The team at Larian are to be commended. Baldur's Gate 3 is nothing short of a masterpiece when it comes to RPGs. We got this covered saying an excellent follow-up to its decade-old predecessor. Baldur's Gate 3 sets a new gold standard for RPGs in the modern age. And certainly we can also take a look at the user scores on Metacritic, because right now it has a 9.2 out of 10. That's just extremely good, and all of these reviews, lots of 10 out of 10s, the best RPG I have ever played, better than any game I have played in years, game of the year, great game so far, a spellbinding and enchanting entry into the widely acclaimed Baldur's Gate series. Like I said, just universal praise from everybody, not just critics, and on Steam it's the same story. The game already has 33,000 reviews and it has a 95% positive review score. That is remarkable. And when you look to the actual reviews, it just shows how happy people are with this. No DLC on Premiere, no microtransactions.
Nigga say 12 out of 10. Would Baldur again? Boy, one of the best CRPGs in recent memory, if not ever. Lovely to see this succeed among the litany of unfinished MTX-heavy online-only games. Just listen to the community. They talking. The community itself is talking. Bro. They're telling you why they love this. The first fucking look, most helpful reviews. First fucking review. No DLC on Premiere. No microtransactions, no barricaded content on launch, no mandatory online connection. 10 out of 10. Yeah.
Transactions, no barricaded content on launch, no mandatory online connection, 10 out of 10. Another user saying 12 out of 10 with Baldur again, one of the best CRPGs in recent memory, if not ever. My first D&D experience, and I'm enjoying it a lot. However, I would prefer a little more guidance, as the mechanics are quite overwhelming at first, and most certainly because there's just so much here. But once you get into it, I think you really start to immerse yourself in this world. Perfect RPG, try it, bet you'll like it. Absolute masterpiece of a video game, hands down game of the year. Excellent, having a lot of fun. Finally a game as good as Fallout New Vegas. I've waited over 20 years for this game, and it has been everything I have been looking for. So many secrets, and it goes on and on. You get the sense that so many people are just extremely happy with this. And just to show how massive of a launch this is, remember there's like 700,000 people playing it right now, but just on Steam. Sven Vink, the leader at Larian, saying probably should stay away from the IT team for a while, told them they should expect like 100,000 or so at max. Yeah, it's a lot bigger than that, but a lot of people are also talking about, while Larian deserves this, it's also the fact that they've done everything right as a developer, and they really are leading by an example. We have this Forbes article saying Baldur's Gate 3's statement on microtransactions warms the heart. Because if you didn't know, again, Baldur's Gate 3 Larian leading by example in this regard, because on a frequently asked question page they say, no, there are no in-game purchases in our game. We believe in providing a complete and immersive gaming experience without the need for additional purchases. Enjoy the game to its fullest without any additional cost or microtransactions. And again, when you look to all of these RPGs, especially maybe the one that's going to be coming next month from Starfield, there's probably going to be a creation club, there's probably going to be cosmetics you got to buy. It's nice to just have that complete package at the $70 or whatever it is that you pay to buy this game. And it just feel like in recent memory it's becoming more unheard of having games without microtransactions, without having an online requirement, and so on and so forth. But right now Baldur's Gate 3 isn't enjoying a massive launch. Just in its early access it sold over 2.5 million units, and I'm sure that they've made millions upon millions with all of the glowing reviews that we're seeing from everybody. But as one user said perfectly on Twitter, part of why Baldur's Gate 3 has done so well is that this is a genre that used to be popular but has long since been left fairly dry. Studios like BioWare moved on to doing live service games like Anthem, but the craving for good CRPGs still exists. Combine that with Larian's very any solution should be possible approach that feels like you're playing D&D, and you have not only a CRPG that meets an audience need, but one that spawns hilarious and easily shareable moments, a truly powerful combo. This is naturally pretty but it's actually quite hard to be in the right place at the right time with long, multi-year projects, so this mega success for an isometric turn-based hardcore CRPG is super cool. And I could not agree more with this sentiment. And again, Larian is a studio that they deserve all of this. It has been a long road for them, and I'm sure that right now everybody in their studio is extremely happy with everything that has happened here. A studio that is leading by creativity over profit, something that you don't see very often, especially with a massive property like this. But what's very interesting about Baldur's Gate 3 is that I definitely think that this sets a new standard for what players should expect from all of your favorite developers. I don't necessarily think that we need innovative graphics at every single title, but I definitely think that having an actual game that's described as an RPG should have those role-playing elements. We should be asking for more choices, more consequences, having a complete product that doesn't paywall certain content or have ridiculous requirements. I think Baldur's Gate 3 also doesn't have de novo, so that's a nice addition as well. So regardless, I'm very excited to continue to play this game, and it's just awesome to see that 2023 we have another massive great RPG that I myself am going to sink many more hours into and probably explore different builds just because of all of the different options that are available and all of the cool different features that are here. Something that, again, you don't see very often from this AAA games industry.
Pause it. The top right corner, look at that navigator. Look at the amount of people on this map. I'm assuming that each one of those yellow dots is a person. I can't hear you talking.
Yeah, I think so. That's dense. That's density. That's substance. That's a living
That's a lot of
world.
shit.
That's a living world.
And keep in mind, the navigator is only a snapshot of their current location. We didn't even see the entire city. Look how much is going on right there.
Wait.
What is my... I have to get this.
This is a definite
On
purchase.
principle alone.
This is a definite purchase. No, that's Fox. That's Fox. Off principle alone, to support, because bitching about it is one thing. Talking about all the shit that goes wrong is one thing. But you gotta actively support when the right decisions are being made.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the result of multiple right decisions being made for the gamers. This game was made for us. This wasn't made for them. They made this for us. They didn't make this for a profit. A profit definitely would be nice, but this wasn't made with money in mind.
And the thing is, they're going to make a profit.
Hands
if they
down.
haven't already.
Hands down. Hands down. Yeah. And then doubling this with having direct insight into how the CEO, the leader of the company, thinks. Yeah, boy.
And I want you to take a look at this hot bar, boy.
Everything.
What's going?
All of
It's
this.
so much.
All of this. All of this. All that shit. Yeah, boy. That ain't even a hot bar, boy. That's a menu. That's a menu. Ain't nothing hot or quick about that. That's a menu, boy. It's so much shit.
That is a lot.
It's so much shit. And all of it has a specific purpose that you can warp to your own fucking needs. Yeah.
Impressive feat, to say at the very least. Baldur's Gate 3 is one of the biggest releases of 2023. It most definitely sets a new standard for what players should expect with an RPG here in the year 2023, in which technology, budgets, size, scope, developer manpower, it has only increased, and I really don't see why any of your other favorite gaming studios couldn't do something like this. And I understand that the game's development was long, but I don't know, I look at the development timeline of all of these other games, and a lot of them are much longer than what Baldur's Gate 3 ended up being. being, and this game is just, it's really just endless amounts of content. Remember, 174 hours of cinematics. It's just ridiculous, and I really do hope that this pushes other developers to do better for players, because these numbers aren't happening just because people want to play Baldur's Gate 3. It's because finally there's a massive RPG for us to dive into. But how are you guys feeling about Baldur's Gate 3? Are you playing it right now? Are you planning to? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. But thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video, or if you found any informative value, and consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I'll see you later.
Yeah, but off principle alone, I have to buy this game.
Yeah.
I have to.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fast. 100%. 100%.
What's the last video? What's the last one?
The
He
last
didn't
one-
have much. He didn't have much for me to like comment on, because like he hit the
it was
nail
just
on the head.
concise.
Like,
Everything was just concise.
yeah.
And this is his most recent, I want to say. So that first one we watched was from a week ago. So that was 7 days ago. This one here is 2 days ago. And the title is Baldur's Gate 3 Boss Responds to Western Devs Attacking the Game. And he have here referencing Blizzard, Obsidian, Insomniac, etc. So I think this is going to be highlighting the head of Larian's reaction to all of these tweets and the discourse and the discussion and shit.
In recent weeks and months, Baldur's Gate 3 started to pop up on the radar of a lot of people. It feels like entering into 2023, we kind of weren't really talking about Baldur's Gate 3 as we were like Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, Diablo 4, Final Fantasy 16, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Starfield, Stalker 2, Hogwarts Legacy, and so on and so forth. This year has been jam-packed with big releases, and it feels like Baldur's Gate 3 kind of has been left out of that conversation until now, or at least the last couple of weeks, because a couple of weeks ago we talked about how a lot of AAA game developers pushed back on the notion that this could be setting a new standard, and some of them just pointing attention at the fact that this game has a ton of content, has tons of choices and consequences. It has a massive scope and scale. I think it has like 170 hours worth of cinematics, millions of lines of dialogue, and ultimately it's kind of like a meaty love letter to RPG fans. And that's why it was kind of weird that we saw developers from Blizzard, Obsidian, Insomniac, Bethesda, CDPR, BioWare, Criterion, and so on and so forth, all speaking out on the fact that this should be considered abnormal. It should be an anomaly and not set the new standard for RPGs. And I feel that's weird, especially when we look at the fact that the last couple of years, the biggest releases that have come about set a new standard. Elden Ring, Breath of the Wild, The Witcher 3 a couple of years before that. And really there are too many games to count. Disco Elysium is probably another great example to bring up in this conversation. But the uproar surrounding this game, especially from Western game developers, has just been weird.
Well, Zika,
But the thing about Baldur's Gate 3 that kind of is taking
and this goes to show, because this is actually an important lesson. All of these companies that he brought up, Obsidian, Bethesda, all these guys, EA, whatever, they have teams multiple times bigger than what Larian has. And so this goes to show that the size of the team doesn't actually determine the quality of the
It's
game.
not a factor.
So thinking that you could just hire every developer, thinking that more the better, that's not how that works. It's clear that's not how that works, because this is the clear example of it. And what these developers need to know is take this as a lesson. Stop chasing trends. Know what your IP is, and that's Larian told you guys from the first tweet, from the first video. This is a new IP they're just getting into. They have years and years of experience. A small, concentrated team of experienced people, developers who know how to make a game like this. So you know what I mean? EA could do it. Obsidian could do it.
Yeah.
All the other developers could do it.
Yeah.
They can do it. maybe not design this particular game. No, Larian got this down pack, but they can design whatever their game could be, whatever that good game is,
Yeah.
and just focus on that. And stop thinking, oh, if we hire 100 new developers, we got this down pack. The size of the team isn't helping you to determine the quality. So that's just my 2 cents. I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add on to that.
No, no, I completely concur. I agree. It's yeah. It's just it's refreshing to know that for me, it's just refreshing to know that hope isn't lost completely because it was getting to that point where I was like, but are we too far gone now? Like, are we so deep into this shit now that it's just like you mentioned earlier, it's just okay, I just gotta find some indies I like and just figure something out from there. It's just refreshing seeing such a large studio, such a massive, and I can't even say such a massive because in comparison, Larian is a fucking baby compared to the major AAA companies. Larian is a baby. But the fact that something so small, relatively speaking, on an industry scale, something so small could create something of such impact for the players, not the consumers, for the players. Because yes, technically we are consumers, but that I feel like you said earlier, you wasn't a big fan of the word consumer itself. I'm not either. Because I feel like that lends to that whole capitalistic focus in the gaming industry where you're not the player of a game, you're the consumer of whatever the product is that we make.
Right?
Larian
You're
sees
like
us as gamers. Larian sees us
you're a
as
metric.
players. What
When
are the
yeah,
you're a
cause
stat.
yeah, cause that's why I don't like that. Because when you think of consumer, you think of like this is the metric in a bigger system, right?
Yeah.
You are turnaround, right?
Yeah.
And turnaround I mean like a financial
Just
turnaround,
a number.
right? That's all that you are. How do we find a way to extract as much money from the consumer as possible with whatever things we have? But when I think of players, what I'm thinking of is a discussion,
Yep.
right? We are designing the games with the players, right? That's what the early access was used for. Excuse me. And the players give their feedback. So in play for players, in my mind, implies discussion.
Mm-hmm.
When consumer implies metrics, statistics, finance, right? And it's the perspective as the player of, oh, we ain't just complaining, right? We ain't just trying to shit on developers for the sake of shitting on developers. We want developers to recognize that they have the resources, they can produce good games, and we're telling you as the players, the discussion we are trying to discuss with you, that a lot of these games are trash. We're not just a consumer that you can fleece. And if you would just listen to us, we can have better trade relations. That's not the right
I mean,
word to use, but you get the point.
the point is if they actually listen to the players and they actually cared about catering to the players, they would be able to establish longer term relationships with more, well, it might not be, actually no, I think long term they would make more money. I think longer
They
term
would.
I think longer term they would make more money because their tactics right now focus on short term gains. It's about extracting as much money as possible immediately and then worrying about the consequences later. Whereas if they something like Baldur's Gate 3 right now with Larian Studios, what they're doing right now is establishing themselves I mentioned this earlier. Baldur's Gate 3, a combination of Baldur's Gate 3 and now looking back at Original Sin 2. Those two games alone have shot Larian to my top 3 development companies for me. And you're more familiar with them because you fully played through Divinity Original Sin 2. So you more familiar with the mechanics and shit. Obviously, I have some familiarity with it from past CRPGs and the couple hours that I spent with Divinity. But just observing the discourse around this, looking at the gameplay and the features and the mechanics in Baldur's Gate itself, like, that alone has put this company in my personal top 3, bro. Setting them so far apart from these long-standing companies that I've dedicated years to. You know who used to be in my top 3? Square Enix used to be in my top 3. Ubisoft used to be in my top 3. Who else? Who else I was grossly dedicated to? Because in their early days, it was player focused. In their early days, they were focused on making
Yeah.
good video games.
But I used to be a big fan of Blizzard, and I remember I couldn't play World of Warcraft because I was just too poor. I ain't had no money to play World of Warcraft, but I'd still watch it. I'd still any news. I'd still try to get that as much as possible. And when I got my first Blizzard game, I think it was I played StarCraft. I'm like, whoa, this what a game could be. This what Blizzard was doing. So, but Blizzard has far from fallen far from graces. They they're not even in my top 50. If I even have a top 50, they so low at this particular point.
What?
And the numbers speaks for themselves because I know companies only understand numbers. Larian Studios can make a ton of money off of this. They can bankroll off of this.
Not even just this, but they're setting their future up now because their next project is going to get an automatic look from thousands of people
Right.
because they established that relationship. They established that they're here actually for the gamers. So when they drop something, the gamers are going to show up and they're going to heavily support. And if it's good, it's going to be the exact same response. 10s across the board. Like it just makes too much sense. It just makes so much more sense. Longevity wise, it makes so much more sense. But they ain't focus on longevity. They focus on maximizing gains right now.
Short term.
Hey. Wait a second.
Me by surprise is the fact that I actually do think that this is maybe going to take that spot as Game of the Year. I thought that this was a lock for Tears of the Kingdom. I no longer think that that is the case, especially the more I play this game and also the reviews that are coming in, because right now Baldur's Gate 3...
That was a stinking miss just now, huh? But he put his back in that swing.
He didn't get a good roll. He didn't get a good roll at all.
Wait, that had to be like a 4 or less, but that was a stink miss.
And the thing is, this meta score went even higher.
Even higher from the last video. The user score gone up 0.1, the meta score gone up like fucking 3 points. Yeah, but this, yeah.
At least on PC, the Metacritic score is a 97 out of 100 based off of 16 critic reviews. We'll see how that changes in the future, but it's only going up right now. The user score is also a 9.3 out of 10. I believe that Tears of the Kingdom has a similar score, around a 96 out of 100 from critics, but right now Baldur's Gate 3 is the highest reviewed game of the year. That is just a shocker, since there wasn't a lot of people talking about this game entering into the year, at least in terms of the mainstream audiences, I should say, because obviously a lot of PC gamers were getting excited about this, especially from their time with the early access. But hardcore gamer giving the game a 100, Baldur's Gate 3 had extremely high expectations set for it, and it has exceeded them. Not only is it a contender for Game of the Year in a year with many exciting titles, but it is a continued evolution of what CRPGs are capable of achieving. IGN Spain giving it a 100, with Baldur's Gate 3, Larian Studio redefines the meaning of open world and creates a masterpiece that elevates the classic RPG to a new level that will take years to surpass. Gfinity, with interconnected stories, brilliant writing, fascinating characters, and living, breathing world full of choices and consequences, Baldur's Gate 3 sets the standard for today's RPGs. You owe it to yourself to experience it, and that sentiment is what we're seeing from critics and users alike. Just a couple of days ago, Baldur's Gate 3 peaked at over 800,000 concurrent players on Steam, and currently it has around 500,000 to 600,000. It's shocking how many people are playing this game, and it shows that CRPGs aren't capped at a certain amount. I think previously Larian's Divinity Original Sin 2 peaked at 100,000 players. A lot of people were waiting for a meaty RPG like this, and that shows kind of the impact of word of mouth. All of that positivity that we saw online has drawn people to diving into this game, and that's why so many people are excited for the future of Larian as a developer. But right now, we did see a humble approach coming from the director of publishing at Larian to these massive player accounts right now, saying, obviously, these kinds of stats fill us with a profound joy. They're huge milestones, but I think the most important thing is knowing that the game is being enjoyed. It's giving a lot of people a good time, and that's the whole point. If we accomplish that, we did our job. And it's not just PC in which the hype is at. We also see that it is the #1 best-selling pre-order on PSN in the United States right now. So a lot of people are just extremely excited about this game. But again, the conversation still is in regards to does this game set a new standard? I think it does, but some of the other developers in this industry in recent weeks have called it Rockstar level nonsense for scope. We also had a game developer saying this is not a new baseline for RPGs, this is an anomaly, adding that trying to reach the same bar without the same experience and advantages could kill an entire group of studios. And that is certainly fair for, say, the indie developers, the studios with under 50 to 100 developers. But when you look at this AAA games industry, the scale, the scope, I just don't see why they can't make a game like Baldur's Gate 3, especially with the fact that they have that experience, they have that time, they have that funding. Now, we also saw an Insomniac Games design manager urging others not to use a singular game to set expectations for everyone developing RPGs because it isn't useful and instead foolhardy. And again, I would just ask, why is this being made for Baldur's Gate 3? Why is this being said for this game specifically, and why has this not been said with the millions of other games that are always compared? I mean, hell, every game review is always compared to another game in terms of what it brought to the table. Now, we did see Obsidian Entertainment design director Josh Sawyer, previously worked on Pentiment, and years before that, Fallout New Vegas, saying, the conditions under which BG3 was made are atypical. This is no way a slight against the game or the people working on it, who are clearly passionate and talented. Having the foundation set and the funding to build things on your own terms is invaluable. And I think the thing that he's trying to hit home on is the fact that, yeah, there is that corporate authority at the top, the executives that have authority over what's going to be made. And these developers, they don't have, even though they have this unlimited funding, they have to go by what the executives want. And I feel like that is one major advantage that Larian does have, and it's that they have an executive, Sven Vink, the CEO, the boss, who clearly has a care for creativity over profitability. You see his stance against microtransactions. You see his stance against being acquired by a company like Microsoft, who is considering them at one point. He says he doesn't want to have a monolithic power ruling over them and making decisions that may not be best for the game. And we also saw a Diablo 4 developer making remarks about this, this current ordeal and this game setting a new standard, saying that if we're going to look at this as a new benchmark, we would need to then focus on creating conditions just like with Tears of the Kingdom, but people too often only look at the fruits of labor and not the labor itself, same as it ever was, I guess. Same deal with people wondering why there are so few artists painting like Renaissance masters. We also had a couple of former and current lead developers at CDPR saying the BG3 is so good, AAA developers are furious, narrative in capital G gamer spaces is so ridiculous, everyone I know is playing it and loving it. This now Riot Games developer saying doctors hate her, discover this weird trick for vibes. I just would point out that there are a lot of other developers that have taken it serious. They interpreted it in a different way. That's why there was pushback from other developers. We talked about that in my prior video about this subject. So just because it's being interpreted one way as this is just some ridiculous, nonsensical story, it's not being treated that way by other developers in this industry, which is why we're having this discussion and why now Sven Vink did, of course, respond to this situation. And this is coming from a recent podcast episode of Friends Per Second. He recalled a time when Assassin's Creed came out and everyone was talking about how all other studios would be doomed because nobody had the resources that Ubisoft had to make a game like this. But the panic was unjustified. We still have plenty of teams and plenty of titles of different scopes and genres, while the Assassin's Creed franchise is still thriving in its own niche. Although I do think Assassin's Creed has adopted some formulas from other games, such as The Witcher 3. Speaking of people seeing Baldur's Gate 3 as the new standard for RPGs, Vink said standards change continuously, so it's not as if there's something that is a standard. I don't think that there are things people should be worried about. We really just try to make our game, so we were surprised when we saw that there was so much commotion about it, and it's just a weird thing. People haven't even seen the game, so it's hard to say that it's a standard. It offers a lot, that's for sure, and it offers what we would like to see in an RPG. So I hope a lot of people will make games like ours because that's what I and the rest of my team want to play, but there are a lot of other stuff that we want to play. And again, when you look at Baldur's Gate 3, it isn't necessarily innovative or innovating on what we've seen, it's just giving players what they want, which is choices, consequences, freedom, kind of like things that you would expect in RPGs, and especially on this scale, we just haven't seen it, and I think, again, that's more of an indictment from this industry and how modern gaming has kind of failed gamers in many regards. Now, Sven Vink continues, everybody played Disco Elysium. That was made by a much smaller team, and it was great and fantastic game, so that's a standard now, but I'm a big fan of Into the Breach. That's a standard for me, so you've got a whole bunch of standards out there. The only game that exists in the universe for my youngest son is Minecraft. That's a standard for him. And then he said, for a player's point of view, I would come to expect that the platform holders at least set the standards because that's how it usually has been in the past. They always say, here's the guiding light. People, this is possible now, so go and do stuff with it. That always been how I looked at platforms. And I think he's totally correct with that. I mean, you can look at Horizon Forbidden West. I can't stop seeing people on my timeline on Twitter talking about how it has breathtaking graphics. It's the most innovative game in terms of how it looks. And I guess, yeah, I agree. In that regard, it has set the standard for what a PlayStation 5 or the current gen game should look like, or could look like, I should say, because I don't think every game should go with that art direction. But that is a standard. God of War Ragnarok in many ways in terms of its gameplay. Red Dead Redemption in terms of its cutscenes, the storytelling. That is another example. Every couple of years we have games that come about and they set a standard in some regard. That is exactly what Sven Vink is saying here, and I don't think everybody looks at one specific game as a standard. People look at aspects of games as a standard. They don't look at it as the whole. I guess that's the best way I can put it. But now Sven Vink added that Baldur's Gate 3 is a very specific type of game, and Larian has been on this path for over 20 years. So it is logical that the studio has both the expertise and resources to fulfill its vision. However, Vink still doesn't buy into this new standard discourse, saying that other developers should focus on making their own games and reaching the right audience for them.
That I completely agree. So he mentioned the fact that you don't use a game as a standard, or at least players don't use a game as a standard, but they use certain aspects of the game as a standard, and I completely agree. I don't expect BioWare to do some Baldur's Gate knockoff, right? And if developers look at what Larian Studios had done and thinking, oh, we need to make Baldur's Gate, you ain't listening. If you want RPG-like mechanics, you can take inspiration. This what an RPG should play like. This is what an RPG should look like. But that does not mean you need to make some Baldur's Gate derivative. Oh, we need a Baldur's Gate 3 killer. No. We want people who care about their game. Yes, the RPG aspect of this game, we'll probably see more of it. Hopefully. But we don't want a Baldur's Gate 3 clone. That's not what we need. And that's not what we're asking for. Anyway.
I saw the discourse, obviously, but I didn't really understand why it was a discourse. Because I don't think there's such a thing as a game that says, oh, this is the standard, and everybody has to hold itself to it, because tomorrow somebody else will come up with something new and cool, and that'll be now the new standard. And these standards change so rapidly that there's no standard.
Now, he did continue his thoughts in another interview. This time was with PC Gamer, and he had a lot more to add about this current situation and all of the uproar about Baldur's Gate 3 and it setting a new standard. Asked about the debate, Vink agreed that Baldur's Gate 3 could only come about under certain circumstances. Obviously, yeah, if you're a 50-man studio or 10-man studio, you shouldn't try to make a game like Baldur's Gate 3. But he questioned the reality of the standards being argued over. The problem I have is with the use of the word standards. This is video games. Standards just die every day. Things get reinvented. New things appear all the time. To the extent that standards do exist, Vink found it strange that developers from larger studios would be concerned about boundary pushing, pointing specifically to the new creative possibilities that technological advancements can enable. As for RPGs in particular, he noted that it doesn't take an enormous game like Baldur's Gate 3 to change the genre. And again, I've hit home on this multiple times throughout this video, but Red Dead Redemption 2, you look at the volumetric clouds, that set a new standard in that regard. The ecosystem in which there's an actual working, living food chain, the AI in that game is it's because of the technological advancements. That is a new standard. It feels so dumb that we're having this conversation while we should be celebrating this game. And developers should be looking at this for inspiration, and there are some developers that have. We talked about it. It's not like this is a universal thing that all game developers in the West are saying that they're panicking over this, because they're not. We saw one game developer from GSC Game World saying that, let's spin this a bit more, should Mortal Kombat games not be considered as a standard for fighting games only because Midway NetherRealm has been developing those games for about 30 years and have all the expertise and resources they have today? Should recent and upcoming GTA games be treated the same way when it comes to open world action games, or maybe Witcher 3, which already became an RPG standard in many ways? Trying to manage expectations of players in this situation is pointless. It would be really close to trying to control what people like or not. If players will love something in BG3, they would definitely want to have a similar experience in future RPGs they play, and other developers should be inspired by that. So yeah, some game developers understand this, some seem to be worrying about it, and I just don't understand it. But Vink did finish up his thoughts saying, Disco Elysium changed standards on the fly with a smaller team, right? That's a completely different standard now. There are so many games that change standards to the point that there are no standards, was my thing. But I think you should always strive to evolve, especially in this medium, which is different than any other media in the sense that technological evolution has always been a big part of it. There's always been innovation, but at the same time, it doesn't require massive technological evolution to do something crazy and cool and different than what anybody else has done before. And I think that's exactly what Baldur's Gate 3 delivers on. It isn't necessarily this technological masterpiece in any regard. It's just giving players more of what they want, which is freedom, choices, consequences, customization, a massive story to jump into, a fun open world, tons of loot, tons of different builds that you can make. It's an RPG dream. That's the way that I've been experiencing, and that's the way I think about it. And then additionally, this is a complete product. There is no microtransactions. It is extremely polished. It's just something that you don't see often from this industry, and which especially this year, we've just been waiting to see how games launch to know if it's safe to play. Larian is already talking about the future, and it isn't another massive game like this. They're actually going to be going smaller next time, and I actually feel like that's kind of like the best direction that they could take. I don't think it always has to be bigger and better. Sometimes going smaller is best. That's why I do respect that. Look at From Software. They aren't necessarily going on Elden Ring 2 or the next Dark Souls game. They're going to go make another Armored Core game, and they're not making it like a Souls-like. They're sticking to the DNA of that franchise because that's the game that they want to make. But in regards to Larian, they have suggested that its next game could be smaller than Baldur's Gate 3. We actually saw some remarks in a Bloomberg article. Vink mentioned that he doesn't know what's next for the studio, but he did express a desire to work on multiple games as well as something smaller. He certainly doesn't want to spend another 6 years developing a single game. And again, this takes a long time. Remember, Baldur's Gate 3, Larian, they massively changed over the last couple of years. This was a studio that only had around 50 to 100 developers. Now they're over 400. But I'm very excited for the future of Larian. Kind of were like the underdogs the last couple of years, and now they're at the top of this industry. They have set a new standard in many regards, and I hope that it inspires other game developers in the West to make better experiences. And I think gamers should expect better from these studios. Obviously, I don't think every game has to be Baldur's Gate 3 level, but I think that there are certain things that this developer did, especially with like the freedom of the open world and the choices and consequences. When a game has that RPG label next to it, you should expect that. And that's why I do think modern gaming needs to do better for gaming audiences. And Sven Vink seems like one of the few gaming CEOs that understands that creativity leads to massive sales like this. And their success hopefully will lead other gaming executives to understand that you got to take a chance every once in a while. But anyway, there's a lot of discussion right now in regards to Baldur's Gate 3, the whole standard debate. But what do you make of all of this? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. But thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video or if you found any informative value, and consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I'll see you later.
Yeah. Like the man said, this is a celebration. I can't hear you. Turn off your mic. I mean, turn on your mic.
Yeah, bro.
Whew. That's the last video, folks. Oh, what can I say? Like I don't really have much to say after that. It's just I think I've mentioned everything I could possibly say for this particular game. I'm getting this game in October. That's going to happen. The only thing stopping me is if I have to get Remnant 2 or something else pop up. But
Right?
October, Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be seeing me.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh.
Baldur's Gate is a absolute must buy. I plan on buying it this year. I have to support that. I have to support that because Larian is doing everything that I'm asking other companies to do.
And if Baldur's Gate took Game of the Year over Zelda, that's okay. I have
cool
Zelda now.
I'm cool
I
with
have
that.
Zelda now.
I don't even
That's-
have
that's
Zelda and I'm
okay.
cool with it.
I'm completely fine with it. Because we needed this. We as gamers, we've been saying, I feel like gamers has been saying for a long time, hey, the industry has been coming to shit. Things aren't working the way they should. There's some weird practices, and you know, only money talks,
That's it.
right? Only money talks. You can complain, or say your grievances till you're blue in the face. But now that we're seeing a product that actually cares about its players, that's it. That's it. Anytime someone say, "Oh, a game with too much over delivering for the players is not a good idea," pointing to Baldur's Gate 3. Anytime someone says, "Oh, graphics the only thing that's important," pointing to Baldur's Gate 3.
Right there.
Anytime someone says, "Oh, we don't need a campaign, we don't need a story," point them at Baldur's Gate 3. If someone say, "Hey, we make it an RPG," point them at Baldur's Gate 3. If you're not taking some inspiration from what they've done, you probably don't even belong in this
You're
industry.
not trying. You're not trying. If this wasn't inspiring, you're not trying. Plain and simple. Plain and simple.
Oh, do we need microtransactions for a profitable game like a Baldur's Gate 3? Season pass. Wait, need I say more?
Boy, it It just seems so obvious, but obviously it's a discussion that needs to be had. And it needs to be discussed more. And not just discussed
Right.
more, it needs to be discussed more loudly so that the wallets start to reflect these opinions.
Right.
Because as it stands right now, there is an increase in frustrated gamers, people longing for not just Baldur's Gate, because you have people who aren't really CRPG fans. They may not be fans of the RPG genre, but they are sick of the micros, they are sick of the loot boxes, the RNG, the season passes, the DLC that's supposed to be fucking the core game. They're sick of these things. And yes, it may not always be an RPG, but studios need to tune into what it is the gamers want and get away from this focus on just profit,
Right.
because chasing the profit isn't going. Games are art, but and
At the end of the day,
capitalism and
that's what they are.
art never mesh well, because art is the most subjective thing. Art is the most subjective thing on the planet that we give value to, because it can't be proven. The value can't be proven. The value itself is dictated by the people that observe or take on that art. That's how the value is dictated. So, valuable companies are the ones that bring the most value to the people seeking out this art. All of us are art. Gamers are art connoisseurs. Our preferred medium is an interactive medium. Yes. So we don't just stand back and appreciate the art. We actually get absorbed into the art. We actually become a part of it. We become attached to it, or it becomes a
Right.
part of us.
Right.
And when we dive into that, you want to get lost in this. You want to just absorb, and nothing is more immersion breaking than you telling me, if you want to keep this going, let me see in your wallet real quick.
All right. I also think that developers, a marketing team, a research team, they can't tell me what a good game is.
No.
And a lot of times, the players can't fully articulate what a good game is. And that's okay. But they know it when they see it. They know it when they see it.
You can feel it.
So don't tell me, oh well, put in the box that this particular color increases engagement by 10%. I don't want to hear that bullshit. I want to hear create a good game.
That's it. That's it.
That's your motto.
That's it. And the thing is, once you do that, every time you do that, the connoisseurs, the gamers, the art consumers, the people that genuinely care, and that's the difference too, differentiating between, I gotta stop calling them casuals, because all of them aren't casual, but the people that genuinely care about the medium, and the people that just here for a distraction or for something to kill some time, something temporary, like a little
Hit.
what it is, a little dopamine hit real quick.
Right.
Differentiating between those two, because when you get the people that genuinely care, that core demographic, when you have them actively advocating for you, everyone else could follow. Everyone else could follow. You're not gonna get every player, obviously. There are the more casual players, the people who are just there for the hit, the people who are just there for the specific thing that they like, or just to kill some time here and there. But Yeah, but for the ones that genuinely care about it, once you could lock in that demographic, I feel like your company is set for life.
Right.
But yeah, but I feel like I've said everything I could say on this topic. We went through the 3 videos and they all had excellent points. They touched on, I feel like everything was circling the same primary point, but we were just coming at it from different angles or different directions
Right.
and different
Right.
perspectives. So different sectors or different areas in the industry that all come together to contribute to this one problem that we're trying to solve right now. And Larian just gave us the answer. Larian gave us the answer to every issue we've been having in the industry. Every single one.
Right.
Make
And
a good
and
game.
and you know what's funny? They didn't even have to reinvent the wheel.
At all. At all. They didn't do
They
nothing
use what they
new.
already have.
They didn't do nothing super innovative. They didn't do nothing out of this world, unheard of, it's never been done before.
They did not reinvent the wheel. I could hear the business people. We gotta reinvent the wheel every single time. No. You could stick with Assassin's Creed, you know. Activision. No. I mean, Ubisoft.
Mhm.
You could. I just don't see any more EXP boosters. I don't see no more open world. And I just use this as an example. I don't see you making an open world for the sake of an open world.
I so sick of seeing health bars in certain games, right? And damage numbers. They have their place, but when you have a long-standing genre and you just fucking redo it, and you just rework
Right.
this shit to this abomination, I can't even call it a shell of its former self. It carries over no characteristics from the original franchise that built the fucking franchise. The
Right.
original entries that built it up to where you could experiment for fucking years. You wouldn't have had Valhalla. You wouldn't have had Origins. You wouldn't have had what the next one was,
Odyssey.
without fucking without Ezio's trilogy, without Black Flag. I skipping Tree because I don't really like to talk about Tree. That was kind of a mistake. But
And you're milking your fan base.
the thing is, the benefit from 3 was that 3 helped build the groundwork or the foundation for 4, for Black Flag, which to this day I still maintain is the best in the franchise.
Mm.
So even their mistakes allowed them to create something even
Right.
better down the road.
Right.
Because they was
Right.
focused on the end product. They was focused on the gamer's response.
Right. So another example. You don't need to abandon Far Cry. Far Cry ain't dead yet.
If you played
But-
2 of them, you're good. If you
Right.
played any 2, any 2 after 2. So if you played from 3, 4, 5, Primal, if you played any 2 of those, you've played the majority of Far Cry.
So I can list 2 companies beyond Redemption. I can't even help them at this particular point. Like Ubisoft, like there's hope.
Ubisoft, yeah, is hope because they have so much potential with their IPs.
Right. But
That's it. The only
But-
thing holding Ubisoft, and it's by a thread. Boy, that's a thin
yeah,
thread.
wait,
That's a
thinnest.
thin thread.
It's so thin.
That's basically a spider web. But the only thing holding them is the fact that their current IPs have such a rich history that there's a possibility of redemption. That's why they advertising so hard with this one Assassin's Creed game that's supposed to be going back to its roots. They know that redemption is in the old mechanics. They just don't feel they can't monetize the old mechanics as much. And that's their focus. Someone in Ubisoft said, boy, let's give these niggas a bone so they could get off our ass for now. and then we could get back to making the next
We
fucking Valhalla.
we killing Ubisoft too much. Bungie are looking at you.
See, I was,
I
I
ain't
was
gonna
never I
lie.
was never on Bungie like that. Bungie is Dev's company specifically because he was such a heavy Halo nigga.
Bungie, they can still turn this boat around. I mean, they drove off into the deep end,
I
and
mean,
when
they
I
still
say
have a core. They still got a heavy core
they went
demo.
deep, but they got hardcore players who still up to this day they love that game. And for the life of me, I do not understand what they see in that game. Bungie, the law is there. Fucking hell, Bungie, the law is there. Put the story in the game. I don't know how many times I've been saying this, Bungie. Put the story
Not
in
audio
the game.
logs. Not
I don't want
fucking
a
notes.
grimoire.
No
I don't want your
fucking.
flashcards. I put the story in the game. Because these people, all these tweets that people.
Technically, it is in the game. You just have to find the grimoires and the audio logs. Once you piece them together, we put them in chronological order for you. So you just gotta find all of them and then play it complete. No, no, that's non-immersive. That's breaking the immersion.
Right.
The point of this medium is interactive immersion. That's the primary thing gamers look for. Interactive immersion. We want to be able to enact the things that we imagine in the realm that you created. You gave us a playground, let us play.
So Bungie, please, man, you have, and I don't even want you to guys use this engine no more. But this engine that you use for Destiny 2 is
This
done.
nigga so tired of this engine.
Looking at you, Bethesda 2. No more creation engine.
What?
That's dead and gone. I
Wait,
don't want to see that no more.
wait, but the bugs and glitches from the creation engine are a part of the fucking. That's a part of the
No, that's
experience,
it. We
man.
moving on. We
What?
moving on. Not, bro.
You could tell me you
Starfield,
don't miss them ragdoll physics.
Starfield, Bethesda. Oh my god. They know why they ain't releasing Starfield no time soon. Cause
Yeah.
ain't no way Bethesda come with a Starfield with Baldur's Gate right here. Ain't
No.
no way.
No.
I know they ain't living
No.
up to
No.
Baldur's Gate.
No. No.
Not even
No.
close.
That could get shit on so bad, but
Wait,
that
so
could get shit
hard.
on so bad because
So
all
hard.
the flaws are gonna be so glaring at that point.
Wait, the shallowness. The shallowness in
It's gonna
gameplay.
be so glaring at that point. They're gonna get laughed out. Todd Howard, this is gonna be Todd Howard's saddest hour if he was to try to release this in the middle of Baldur Gates fucking no way.
Wait,
No way.
wait.
Todd Howard
The
been
thing is
getting
about
away with a lot of shit, but not
but he's the marketing man. He know how to talk. I give him that. Designing games, but talking, he got that. I give him that. And then the last but not least, Blizzard. You're just irredeemable at this point. I can't help you. You
They
just
so far gone.
you gone.
Activision Blizzard
You
gone.
gone.
Boy. They
Wait.
gone. Hey,
God.
just have fun with the mobile games. Y'all just
Right.
You have
Right,
go
just-
go just go do something. Go do
I
something.
and I Square Enix. You Square Enix. I forget about you. Stop jumping on trends.
Irredeemable.
Hey, you don't need to do that.
No, but and the thing is, for my favorite game of all time, for that studio to fall this far, wait, what the fuck even was Balan Wonderland, boy? What was that?
Oh, that abomination.
What was that? Who greenlit that, boy? Who looked at that and said, "Yeah, release it"? You realize
Who said that was a good idea?
You realize
said
multiple
it was a good
people
idea?
sat down and watched gameplay for that and gave a thumbs up? What is going on at Square, boy? And then to make up for it, they go
I-
remaster a old fucking, and mind you, it's a wonderful game. I'm not gonna knock it because the Final Fantasy VII remaster is immaculate, but it
Mhm.
wasn't needed. This was
Yeah.
clearly to distract us from the fuck ups that y'all have been doing for the past few years. Kingdom Hearts 3, they know that was a disappointment.
That was. And stop with all the remakes. We don't need any more remakes.
Oh my god, you mean their special move? Bro,
Remakes, remasters. We
no
don't
no no
need
no
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 more.
no no. I don't think so. Let me put this in full perspective for you how bad Square Enix is with the remakes and remasters. Do you know how many variations of Kingdom Hearts 2 has been released?
Let me know. How many?
So there's 2, there's a 2.1, there's a 2.5, there's a 2.8 HD, 2.8 HD final, there's the 2, I think there's a 2.5 HD final remix. There was fuck, what else it was, man? But I mean, if that list alone wasn't enough, I could find more. Let me hold on. I could look up every Kingdom Hearts game. This one could really fucking do it. This one could really fucking do
Rockstar Games. You greedy.
it. They greedy.
I just come out and say it. You are a greedy motherfucker. You are the greediest company.
Here we go.
I've never seen a company. You almost on Bethesda with Skyrim. Like how many times y'all could try and milk a franchise to the Todd Howard tried to put Skyrim on a. He'd put it on a fridge if he could. Skyrim came out in 2011. 2011. We don't want to see no more
You
Skyrim.
can now play Skyrim on your Etch a Sketch.
Wait, like let it go.
Look here,
Let it go.
hold on.
But back to Rockstar.
Before Rockstar,
Yeah.
I just want to list. I found a list of the Kingdom Hearts games. Kingdom Hearts, Kingdom Hearts Final Mix, Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, Kingdom Hearts RE Chain of Memories, Kingdom Hearts 2, Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix Plus, Kingdom Hearts Coded, Kingdom Hearts Recoded, Kingdom Hearts 358 Days Over 2, Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep Final Mix, Kingdom Hearts 3D Dream Drop Distance, Kingdom Hearts Cross, Kingdom Hearts Unchained Cross, Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, Kingdom Hearts Union Cross Dark Road, Kingdom Hearts Dark Road, Kingdom Hearts 3. Hold on. Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory. Wait, there's more. Kingdom Hearts Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 Remix. Kingdom Hearts HD 2.5 Remix. Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue. Oh, there was the collection one. Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 plus 2.5 Remix. Kingdom Hearts Missing Link. And this is the ones they have down the pipeline now. Kingdom Hearts 4. That's it. That's how many. Mind you, the mainline Kingdom Hearts games are Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and 3. Chain of Memories, Birth by Sleep, 358 Days Over 2. Those are the primary stories. These are 6. There are 6 primary games. How many games did I list just now? Like 30?
Too many. Too many.
And that's one Square Enix franchise. Just
That's
one.
one of her boongy cheeks.
That's just one Square Enix franchise.
Oh
But back to Rockstar.
yes, Red Dead Redemption. You had a good run. Red Dead Redemption 2. You had a good run.
Had an even better run. Had an even
I
better
know you
run.
guys spent a lot of money on that horse testicle physics. I understand that was an expensive journey for you guys, but it's done. GTA, oh my god. GTA 6, put it in development. You're making $1 billion a year at some point, at one point. You can't use a fraction of that for GTA 6?
What?
And then what's the name of the developers who made Saints Row? Look.
Them niggas dead in the water now. Them niggas
Deep
dead in the water.
Silver Volition.
Published
That
by
reboot that
THQ.
you guys,
Also published by THQ.
that reboot.
That reboot killed the franchise. That reboot
Dead.
might have killed the entire franchise.
It killed it. And Saints Row is dead. And Saints Row, I loved how Saints Row was like a competitor to GTA.
It was the less serious GTA, but it was a
Yes.
It was a more comical, more gamey GTA. Instead of taking
GTA.
it super serious and building this big crime scene, it's like, bro, you fucking flying around with a wingsuit, you shooting aliens and shit. You got a fucking like a dildo
Right, you could
on a
summon a
drill,
plane
slapping
on
niggas.
demand. You doing all type of.
It's a gamey game, and they understood that. They understood. Well, yeah, you get a bit of the GTA feel, but this is a gamey video game, and they leaned into
happened?
that. They didn't take shit seriously. What happened is they tried to make it kind of serious with the obvious social justice fucking spin on shit, and it was just a pile of shit. The game was incomplete, glitchy as a bitch, not fun, empty world, non-immersive, horrible fucking gameplay. It just was a waste of time. And it's turned people off from Saints Row altogether. I've never seen one game kill such a long-standing franchise so fast. I don't even think niggas would entertain. I don't even think they could get funding for another Saints Row game.
No, it's
Because
not
of how
happening.
bad that one did. I think
And the thing is, it was a reboot.
Dead.
So they was trying to like
They're trying to reinvigorate it. They're trying to
bring it
start
back,
it over.
reemerge that franchise, but take it in a slightly different direction.
They're just trying to Assassin's Creed it.
That dead in the water. I ain't gonna lie, that dead in the water.
Finish.
But
Absolutely.
what more can I say?
Absolutely finish. I ain't got nothing else
you know
to
what?
me, bro. I feel like we touched on most of the shit.
Because we ended off.
Let's end on a positive note. What are we
Yeah,
looking
let me
forward to right
name
now?
off a couple of good indie games people could be checking out. Stardew Valley, Hades, Celeste, Undertale, Cuphead, Hollow Knight, Rocket League. As much as DJ
Survivors.
said it again.
Vampire Survivors.
Vampire Survivors, Tunic, Outer Wilds, not Outer Worlds, Outer Wilds. You check that out.
Very different games.
Spelunky, Valheim, Super Meat Boy.
Spelunky ain't for everyone, but Spelunky ain't for everyone, bro.
Anyway, Chained Echoes. There's games out there. There's games out there. If you want,
everyone. There's good games that could appeal to different things that people are looking for. They out there.
And if you want a AAA, if you haven't played Elden Ring, I don't know what you're doing. Go play it. Just
100%.
fucking go play it.
If you want to get the feel that gaming used to have, when all of these studios was actually competing to create the best game, when they was competing against each other to best appease gamers and players, like the height of the console wars, when it was really about who could push out the most really good games, and it was like pushing each other up before it got predatory. Elden Ring, bro, I haven't felt that feeling from a game in years.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, boy, this is so fucking fun. I don't want to put this down. So much to discover, so much shit just everywhere I turn, something new popping up to blow my mind. That just make me sit down and say these niggas make a fucking masterpiece.
And because I know a lot of people, if you playing, you know what? I ain't even gonna say that. I ain't gonna say that. I can leave that right there. I said everything what I had to say. If you guys like what you saw here, this reaction video on Baldur's Gate 3. As mentioned before, I get this in October. Like I have to get this off principle alone. But if you like what you saw, yeah, I get. There's more I could be said. There's more that could be said. I just want to leave it right there because we run up on 3 hours right now. I feel like you guys heard my voice enough.
What?
You heard my voice enough.
But this what we passionate about, and that's why we could talk about this for over 3 hours at this point. Because this is like we genuinely care not just about the industry, but about the art form, about the quality of the games that are being released, the quality of the things that we're spending our hard-earned money on.
Yeah,
I
boy.
work for this money.
Hey, and most of us gotta work.
I work
Most of us ain't
for this
prince
money.
and princesses. Like, always gotta bust our ass. That's why I don't understand. You can spend $25 on a skin. Like, what's going on?
I have limited time and limited resources. This I can't afford to have my time wasted, but I can't.
And you know, it's
it.
like it's
I can't afford it.
in games like Overwatch 2, you can't even see the skin
No, it's for
because
everyone
it's in
else to
first
see.
person.
It's for everyone else to see.
Oh,
Just yeah, but yeah.
oh, wait, I could just leave that right there.
Yeah.
I could just leave that right there.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for coming through. That's
Hey,
it.
hey, as always, we appreciate you all sticking around with us. If you was here through the full 3 hours, bro, we really fuck with you. Let us know in the comments, and I know I could send you some V-Bucks. But nonetheless, if you haven't by now, make sure on your way out, hit that like and sub. If you're seeing this on the YouTube side, follow and sub on the Twitch side, and make sure you in that Discord server. If you into these kind of conversations, we can have them. Trust me, we could be having them a lot more. We could be having these conversations with other content creators too, and even with you. If you in the Discord and you start the convo, if you see one of us respond, we get into it, bro. We could have a conversation about the shit. This is the stuff that we genuinely care about. So make sure you in that Discord. We got a link for that in the bio, the description, and across all the socials. That's the Twitter, the Insta, and the TikTok right up here. You can see it right there. It's at BoyEnt242. Nice and easy. It's at BEY. The correct way to spell boy. ENT242 on IG, Twitter, and TikTok. But with that, I think I had my closing remarks. Scoot has his closing remarks. We appreciate y'all as always. We care about this industry. We care about the future of this industry, the direction that these companies are taking the industry, and we stand firm on our beliefs with it. And we're willing to back that stance up with our wallets. That's why we're buying Baldur's Gate 3. That's why we bought Elden Ring. And that's why we're going to continue to support the good efforts to pushing this industry forward. But that's us, man. You already know what time it is. Catch us next stream. That'll be Wednesday. It's a fight night. So we getting back to the nigga shit. We getting back to the ignorance.
Ignorance.
Just throwing
I
some
would like it at Bay
hands.
Entertainment.
You know, we're multi-dimensional. We're layered. You know, we're complex. You know,
We're like an
on
onion.
on on Sundays, you know, we could have in-depth discussions about the industry, the current state of the industry, how companies and players are moving forward, what we like. And then on Wednesday, we just trying to lock your jaw. That's it. It don't have to be as complex every time, but that's us. That's Play Entertainment. So if you like what you see here, fuck with your boys. Follow across the socials. Hit us on the Twitch and the YouTube. Get in the Discord. And BYC to the next stream. Because if you can't make it, you can CYC. We can link though.